I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. This is Chris live in Central Pennsylvania. Sound check. Program. This is Chris live in Central Pennsylvania. Doesn't quite sound right. I just did a plug-in. Let's try it now and see how it sounds. Still sounds a little high. Let's turn the gain down a little bit. Turn the gain down just a little bit and see what happens here. I guess that's as good as it's going to get. Welcome back. All right, you guys say the sound is fine. Doesn't sound quite right to me. Welcome back to the program. It's Monday, November 11th. It is Remembrance Day, Veterans Day here in the United States. Let me go ahead and start with my opening monologue for today, folks. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Americans, patriots. I'm Colonel Chris Wyatt, retired U.S. Army. It's my pleasure to read the following to you. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. November 11th, 1918, a day known as Armistice Day, is the date that fighting on the Western Front in World War I ended. The so-called war to end all wars was catastrophic and deadly for all involved. Shortly after the conflict ended, it became known as in Commonwealth countries like Great Britain, Canada, and Australia as Remembrance Day. But it was also celebrated in France, the United States. In 1926, a congressional resolution officially named this date as Armistice Day, and it became a federal holiday in 1938. By 1947, when Raymond Weeks held the first officially organized Veterans Day, it had become clear that, sadly, the hope that the war to end all wars was ephemeral and not to be. In 1954, Congress sent a bill to the White House, and President Eisenhower signed that bill into law, proclaiming the date as Veterans Day. But some among us may wonder, how did this all begin? In the spring of 1915, shortly after losing a friend at Ypres, a Canadian doctor, Lieutenant Colonel John McRae, who served in both South Africa during the Boer War and in the First World War, wrote his now famous poem after seeing poppies growing in battle-scarred fields. In Flanders Fields was first published in England's Punch magazine in December of 1915. Within months, this poem came to symbolize the sacrifices of all who were fighting in the First World War. Today, the poem continues to be part of Remembrance Day ceremonies in the United Kingdom, Canada, and other Commonwealth countries throughout the world. In America, we celebrate that day as Veterans Day to honor all who served our grand nation in times of conflict and peacetime. The poem, in Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if you break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. In 1921, an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. This site, on a hillside overlooking the Potomac River in the city of Washington, D.C., on land once owned by the Lee family of Virginia, became the focal point of reverence for America's veterans. Armistice Day officially received its name in America in 1926 through a congressional resolution. As I said, it became a national holiday 12 years later by similar congressional action. If the idealistic hope had been realized that World War I was the war to end all wars, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. But only a few years after the holiday was proclaimed, war broke out in Europe. Over 41 million Americans and foreign nationals have served in our uniforms. Over 16 million since World War II alone. Today, there are approximately 18 million living veterans in the United States. Nearly 7.8 million are Gulf War era veterans, or 43% of all living veterans, including myself. 5.6 million Vietnam veterans, or 30% of our veterans. Over 700,000 Korean conflict and 1950s era veterans, or 4% of our veteran population. And less than 100,000 of the 16 million who served in World War II remain with us today, under 1%. As we commemorate Veterans Day, since that is what we do, commemorate, not celebrate, it's important to mention how much of our citizenry is losing its ties to those in service to our nation. Serving America has become less and less common. In 1980, 18% of all adults were veterans. By 2022, that figure had dropped to just 6%. In large measure, this reflects the transition to an all-volunteer professional force in 1973. In the future, you will see fewer and fewer American military veterans in an ever-growing population. Between 1980 and 2018, the veteran population declined by a third, from 26.4 million to just 18 million. It's projected to continue declining. By 2040, we'll have just 12.9 million living veterans. I mention this decline not to lament it, but to note how what was once common experience for most men and women, and many women, is now something only a small segment of our society experiences. Consequently, most Americans do not know what it means to serve in uniform. They do not know the personal and professional sacrifices their fellow Americans make on their behalf, defending the Constitution at home and in challenging locales abroad. They cannot know the trauma and horror of conflict, thank goodness. They will not know the countless personal sacrifices our veterans make and have made. I say these things to you not to elicit empathy or sympathy. After all, we are no more special than any other American. The distinction, if one exists, is that just like first responders, EMTs, firefighters, and law enforcement officers, our military serves our nation each and every day. We stand or have stood on that wall, defending freedom on all our behalf. When you thank a veteran for his or her service, do not forget your thanks embodies much more than the simple and brief phrase, "Thank you for your service." It means a lot, and we're grateful to all those who recognize the sacrifices and service of our veterans. I thank you once again. God bless you, and thank you for this listening to my opening monologue on Remembrance Day, Veterans Day 2024. For those saying I'm late, I'm not late. You can blame it on YouTube not starting properly. So I was on time. Would you prefer I start 10 minutes early all the time and then leave 10 minutes of dead air? Dylan, welcome to you. Teresa, Chris Stain, Monterey Sieberts, Val Cooper, Sue Walsh, Janet Liddy, Matthew Dixon. When I'm going to be late, I send a message to my moderators so they can inform people that I will be late. It does happen on rare occasions. Chantel Boyson, welcome to you. John Hoochin in from Arizona. Light Rain in from the West Coast. Richard Kuhn, Teresa, Erica, Paulie, sitting in the back of class watching from work. All right, Paulie. Matthew Dixon says, he said something snarky there. I'll skip that. All right. Debbie says, great start and good vibes. Such a catchy song. It is a brilliant song. I love it too, Savage Daughter. It's an incredible song. Welcome to you. What else we got here? We got Keith Alderson in from Coventry. It's time for me to make another UK trip, isn't it, Keith? It's been a while. It's time for me to get over there. All right. Brian Lawrenson, hello to you. Erica says the weather's all over the place. It is in the Western Cape. Welcome to the windy Western Cape. Marilyn Brokenshaw's in from Northcliffe. Welcome, Marilyn. Good to see you there. And Waldo Bota says, Mittag, Colonel. Well, good afternoon to you as well, Waldo. And Awkward Leon, welcome to you. Cyber Eggs, hello. Courtney says, in the military, 15 minutes early is on time. 1 time is late. 1 time? 1 minute? I think is what you meant to say, Courtney. Congratulations to Courtney McBride and all of my federal veterans out there in U.S. uniform and those in the Commonwealth countries and all veterans around the world as we commemorate Armistice Day, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month. Yeah. All right, folks, let's get to it, to the news. Things to cover today, many, many things. Yes, on time is late. Gotcha, Courtney. Now I know what you're saying. Right. The United States House of Representatives race continues, and the Republicans are on the verge of a trifecta, winning the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Democrats are in terrible response mode, trying to figure out how they're going to respond with their resistance to undermine the country with their illegitimate nonsense. And here comes a super chat from Maryland. 70 Rand saying, thank you for your service. Well, thank you, Levin, for your super chat. It's very kind of you. I do appreciate that. Very kind of you. Also, before I get into this, let me just cover something very quickly. Hang on. Let me adjust this. Just get a little better angle here. Yeah, there we go. Maybe not so much sun or not so much light shining up. So, on my Bribe Brews program, or on my Bribe Brews program the other day, Byron Shepard claimed that he had some inside information about Scott Balson of Loving Life. He told us that he had information that Scott had passed away, and well, that's news to me. I was unaware that Scott Balson had passed away. I know he'd been quiet of recent. I used to try to watch a bit of his content, but I had not heard from him in ages. So we passed our condolences along, if that in fact were true. And then Ronaldo, who was in the chat, heard that. And then Ronaldo mentioned it on our Wednesday program. He also mentioned that, all feuds end with death. So anyway, a couple of spies from the eucalyptus tea drinkers appeared in my chat and made comments on my videos. And one of them jumped in the chat and said, "That's fake news, fake news. He's still alive." Well, it wasn't my news, and I questioned and said I had no knowledge of it, so don't blame me for it, buddy. I didn't repeat the story. In fact, I haven't made a video, wishing him, smooth sailing into the afterlife because I could not confirm the story independently. I did a massive search for Scott Balson on the internet, and aside from his book Children of the Mist, he's pretty much disappeared from the internet. At least my searches have been found almost impossible, no matter what I put in to find him. I do find a video of me at the War College 4 years ago wishing him well when he talked about macular degeneration. Somebody posted my video on Facebook. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, so we understand that is it Rhodesia Day? Is today Rhodesia Day? I forget. It's around this time. We did that. We mentioned that back in the day. Anyway, so excuse me. So apparently Scott Balson made a video, and we have proof of life because in the video, Scott comments on Kamala Harris. And I will state up front that on this one occasion, Scott Balson and I do agree on something. He basically called her, I'll use the non-profanity language, but dumb as a box of rocks for Kamala Harris and her loss, and it was a good thing. So we agree on that. However, he did spend the rest of his video talking and spending his whole time bringing up when Ronaldo punked him several years ago when Ronaldo set him up to prove that he didn't research his stories. And Ronaldo did so quite successfully, and that's probably where the feud between the two started. Ronaldo went after him to expose him, and he's never forgiven Ronaldo for that. Anyway, he drugged me into his childish nonsense and then calls me a so-called colonel. That's just comical. I mean, that's pathetic. Then he called me a CIA agent with no evidence, slandering me and libeling me at the same time. Anyway, he called me an e-beggar when I was in South Africa, when I spent $1,000 out of my pocket. And in this video here, I am mentioned at least briefly, he called me an e-beggar again. I'm not sure why he does that. Listen, little Scotty, pathetic Baldwin, it's Colonel Chris Wyatt, or you can fuck off and footsec. Save your childish nonsense for others who actually give a shit. Also, it's obvious to see people whom I wasn't sure if they were black supremacist or eucalyptus tea supporters. And there's a super chat from Courtney. Thank you for $5. Democrats' hubris and elitism is ultimately what made them lose the trust. Yes, and I've got an op-ed that talks about that. Trump listens to everyday Americans. He does. And so, and I lost my train of thought about Scotty Balson. Oh, yeah. So the post on my video about from one of his sycophants talking about, well, I call myself a historian, and how do I get off calling myself a historian when people like Scott Balson are history enthusiasts? And, okay, you cannot compare me to Scott Balson. Scott Balson is an author, and you might say he's a historian when it comes to the colored people, but that's pretty much where it ends based on research in his book. The rest of the stuff he does is not historian. As far as my bona fides for historian, I mean, look, good Lord. I mean, this is pathetic. People try to challenge my bona fides. It's just funny because you have no basis to do it. I am a graduate of a university with a degree in history. I'm a graduate of a postgraduate school with a degree in international relations. I'm a graduate of the Army War College with a postgraduate degree in strategic studies, which touches on history, political science, economics, everything across the board. It's just pathetic. I'm also a published author writing about political science and history. It is just sad to see people who constantly have this demented hate wanking. Take your attention elsewhere. You cannot impeach my bona fides. They're real. I don't embellish my CV. I don't embellish my accomplishments. I'm honest about things I've not accomplished that people attribute to me. So go after people who actually lie about themselves. You can't refute what I say. If you dislike my commentary and my analysis, change the channel. Change the channel. Change the channel. Yes, one of the trolls is from that land, Erica. So, no one forces you to be here. It's just really, I don't ask any of my viewers to go watch anyone else's content, except when I direct you to help other channels grow their content, grow their viewership, grow their subscriber base. And yes, I've directed people to Conscious Carrico. I've directed people to Ronaldo's program. Yeah, so that's with their permission, though. I'm not encouraging anyone to watch their content just because I want you to spy on them. That's ridiculous. But that's what's happening. Anyway, so enough of that nonsense. I mean, it's just really silly. 22 million in World War II, I hear. I don't know where you're talking about, Garrett. In U.S., it was 16 million in World War II served. Yeah, 15 million in the Army, 3 million in the Navy. The Air Force was part of the Army, integral at the time. And so it's 16 million served. It's a lot of people. Pork Leaker's back from Canada. Welcome to you. There's Leyland Super Chat and Courtney Super Chat. Brian Lawrenson is here. Patrick Vianella, welcome. UDI was declared on this date, so that would be Rhodesia Day. Waldo Boto, welcome to you. And Sedgefield's back. I haven't seen Sedgefield in a few days. Scott is going to ask Trump to fire CIA. Well, Trump is going to fire the CIA director. He is going to fire the FBI director. He is going to fire all these people. So that's not exactly an accomplishment when someone says it. On to the election results that the demonic Democrats are having a hard time accepting. In fact, we have election denial from the Democrats here in Pennsylvania. We're going to talk about that. But first off, right out of the gate, before we get to South African news, the path to 218, the New York Times is the best site to track this. We're currently 214 races now called for the Republicans, 203 for the Democrats, with 18 undecided. These are the races that have been called most recently. And down here we can see that in California, 22 district with 77% of the votes in. Valadeo has a 9,500 vote lead, which is not insurmountable, but it's tough. In Alaska's 1st district, Begich has a 10,133 vote lead. Now, Valdeo has a 7-point lead, so that's probably insurmountable, honestly. Begich has a 4-point lead. And then we have Calvert in California, Duarte in California, and Steele in California with a 3, 3, and 2 advantage. In Colorado, Evans has less than 1% advantage. And in Arizona 6, Siscomani has a 0.5%. In Iowa, Miller Meeks is down at 796 vote lead. But the Republicans need just 1, 2, 3, 4 more seats. They're on edge to get 5 to take them to 219. They could get 220, 221, 222. And then there are 4 Democrat races which are on knife edge as well. That's Maine 2, Ohio 9, California 47, California 21 are all on the edge. They could swing still. Now, the closest ones here is the Maine 2 with 95% of the vote, and this one hangs on 700 votes. That might be insurmountable. We shall see. Maine is a small state. When 95% of the votes are in, that means very few votes are left out there. Ohio 9 with 95% of the votes in. That's a much larger state. That could still turn. Minnesota, 80% in. It seems less likely. I'm sorry, California seems that's possible. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But it's unlikely Republicans would run the final 18 seats, but wouldn't that be nice? It seemed very unlikely at this stage, but they will get the majority in the House of Representatives. So let's take a look at what happened in this race from Al Jazeera, okay? Let's take a look at this. Pretty good summary here. U.S. election, every single state swung to the right. Democratic bastions, even Washington State with a very tiny majority, swung to the Republicans. Oregon swung. California swung mightily. New York swung mightily. New Jersey, Maryland swung heavily towards Trump. Hawaii swung towards Trump. And in states where he had a lead, Republican-dominated states like Florida, Texas, Wyoming, Montana, Tennessee, his lead swung even higher. With all the states counted, President Trump has 312 of the 530 electoral votes, including all 7 battleground states. Wow. He is ahead by over 4 million votes with 95% of the vote total in. Here it is, folks. Trump 312, Harris 226. Trump 76 million votes, Harris 72 million votes. She won just 19 of the 50 states. Trump won 31 of 50 states. 7 swing states, Donald Trump took them all home. All home. Republicans won majorities in 31 of the country's 50 states, with their biggest victory in Wyoming, 72.3%, West Virginia, 70%, North Dakota, 67.5%, Idaho, 67%, and Oklahoma, 66%. And here it is right here. And Courtney says, Trump's new border czar is a beast. Yes, he'll face a tough confirmation hearing from the Democrats, but he will be the new guy. So there you go. Trump just crushed her across the board. Leading up to the election, pollsters identified 5 of the 7 states would go to Kamala Harris, but that was a lie. 7 battleground states are 93 electoral votes. Trump 19 in Pennsylvania, 16 Georgia, 16 North Carolina, 15 Michigan, 11 Arizona, 10 Wisconsin, and 6 in Nevada. Trump won all of these states. He won Arizona by 6 points, Georgia by 2, Michigan by 1.5, Nevada by 3, North Carolina by 3.5, Pennsylvania by 2, and Wisconsin was the narrowest at 0.86. This is what happened. You can see in 2020, Joe Biden supposedly won 306 electoral votes. Donald Trump flipped all of the battleground states: Nevada, Arizona, out in the mountain states, in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, in the Mid-Atlantic, Pennsylvania, and in the Deep South, Georgia. Completely flipped the map. All 50 states shifted red in 2024. In 2020, for example, Trump received just 37% of the vote in New York, while Biden got 61%. However, in 2024, Trump got 44% of the vote compared to just 56 for Harris. That's a 6.43% change. Wow. Other notable swings include New Jersey, nearly 5%, Florida, 5%, California, nearly 5%, Massachusetts, over 4%. Every state in the union, there it is, all swung to Trump. Washington was the least of the swing at 0.31. Everything else. 47 of the 50 states saw the vote swing at least 1% in favor of Donald Trump. Wow. That's from Al Jazeera. Crazy. Trump's new border czar is a beast. America is waking up, and wokeness shall die. We shall extinguish it as quickly as possible. Yep. Jan says he's blocked from buying memberships on your channel for about 6 weeks. What, by YouTube or by your bank? And just on my channel? That's a strange prohibition. I've never seen something like that before. So Scott Balson accused me of being an e-beggar. So let's just, I don't want Scott to be reporting false news. We don't want that. I mean, that would be bad. Fake news from Scott Balson, we don't want that. So I'm going to make Scott correct. Just give me a second. I'm trying to find it. It's a little bit higher. There it is. Okay, so let me do this. So I'm going to help you, little Scotty Balson. I don't want you to be a fake news purveyor. But where the hell's it at? I'm trying to find it now. Figures I can't find. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to help make him. I want him not to have fake news. I want him to have the correct. Here you go. So there you go. So I don't want Scott Balson to have any fake news. So there you go. There's the e-begging right there. There you go, folks. Chris Wyatt Africa, PayPal. There's the address. You can send PayPal right there. We're going to beg for money right here now. Apparently that's according to the Living Law Lunacy channel. That's what we do. Forgot they even existed. But yeah, so let me take a break while you open up your wallets and pour your money out. It's not going to happen. There you go. How do we think the Senate will go? Yeah, Rick Scott, I hope, will be the new majority leader. Erica's gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for that, Erica. Why did that sound not come up? That is odd. All right, so there you go. CIA authentication is awkward. Those who are CIA won't say because too ashamed to mention because they don't believe the secretary does. You're so vain. You're so vain. I bet you think this song is about you, don't you? Peter Oberholzer, World Gone Mad. The World Gone Mad, I should say. Zaid Saili, welcome to Zaid Saili. A pleasure to have you join. Fani is back. I remember a really interesting movie. Zaid Saili. Fani Fari's Lobola. Does anybody ever watch that movie? That was really awesome. I enjoyed that. A bit far-fetched, but entertaining nonetheless. How do we think the Senate will... Yeah, it'll go... Well, it's going to be 53 seats. Chris van der Westhuizen. It'll be 53 seats with Dave McCormick here, and that's the election denial that I'm going to talk about here a little bit later in the program when we get to that. We got a lot of news to get through, but I do have that up. Need a border czar, and that is Fani Fari's Lobola. Yeah, Matthew says, yeah, I'm going to get fired by the CIA. Courtney wants gifted membership. Poor Courtney. Exactly. Watch what you want. I do watch alternative views of my own, but if I don't like other views, I move on. I don't troll. Exactly, CyberEggs. Exactly. But apparently, people just, I don't know. People get a grudge. Look, Ronaldo is horned in on my broadcast time. My feelings aren't hurt. Does it hurt my channel? Sure, because about a third of you disappear and go watch Ronaldo. But you know what? That's your prerogative. I may joke around and call you treasonous bastards when you leave. For those of you that leave me for Ronaldo at the top of the hour, I do call you that. No, seriously, it's your prerogative. If my content isn't compelling, isn't entertaining, isn't informative, then you'll go elsewhere. It's as simple as that. Angus Roy McBean is back. Hey, you can take our freedom, but you can never... You can take our lives, but you can never take our freedom. I cannot do a good Scottish accent. Who will be the next Senate pro temp? Courtney, most people don't even know what the hell that is. Why don't you give us your suggestion who it is? Yes, as a stupid South African, I was unimpressed in the celebrities performing for free to save them. No. They spent over $20 million hiring those has-been loser, frickin', morally weak celebrities. Yep, Graham Shelton says, not sure why anybody wants to watch Ronaldo. Ouch. Well, Graham, watch at the top of the hour. It's a Monday. I'm sure Ronaldo will be on. And if he's not lurking in the background right now, and in 25 minutes, we'll see a third of the audience just disappear. Yep, and that's their prerogative. They're welcome to do that. But thanks for the 122 people currently here, folks. Yeah, let me see if I missed anything in the chat. Okay, so we've taken the PayPal thing off. That was kind of fun. Heard that Kamala paid many of those celebrities to perform. Yes, she did. It's not a hearing. I talked about it during the election campaign. I said these are paid celebrities. They're not real. Listen, sometimes things are really what they appear, okay? For instance, I mean, really, let me just share this thought with you, okay? Okay. Ready?
A fucking goat outside.
It's just a goat.
No. It's a fucking goat.
It's a fucking goat. No, baby, it's just a goat. No, it's a fucking goat. That never gets old. That never gets old. Did you just not put up an apology short about the apparent death of Scott? No, I didn't do a short. What are you talking about, Patrick? I didn't put a short up about Scott Balson. The only time I talked about Scott Balson was the other day when it came up in the conversation with Byron Shepard and he announced he was dead. And I'm like, wow, that's news to me. I didn't know that. I had not heard that. So, yeah, no, I didn't do a short. I did a short about the 20,000 viewers on the channel. And by the way, let me just take a moment before we continue with the news. And I'm not attacking, but just Ken Ernsten brought up a point yesterday. I don't know if Ken is here. Ken made a point about, don't get wrapped around the axle, basically about the number of subscribers. And I agree with that. It's not about the number of subscribers. It's about the quality of the content. It's about the compelling arguments made. It's about people being exposed to that viewpoint, that analysis. But the problem is that the smaller your channel, the less likely it is to get promoted, unless you happen to get a video that just catches the algorithm wave right and takes off. Like my Trump video on the lawsuits in New York on the other channel got 126,000 views. I got 1,700 subscribers from that. Well, that just took off. And by the way, I made over $700 ad revenue. Now, YouTube will take 1/3 of that or half that, but still, I made some money off that. That's impressive. That's more money than I can make on my channel in a given month just from one video on the other channel, and I got 3 channels that are generating revenue. So that's pretty cool. So that's part of it, but I've always made the argument that subscriber numbers do matter. Now, you'll see that I have 20,000 subscribers, but just 128 people watching this right now. Okay, anything over 100 on a live stream for anybody is good, especially for someone who's not famous. I'm not famous. So 100 viewers in a live stream is really impressive. You'll see that this live stream is larger than many other channels. Byron made an apology for the fake news publicly. Well, Byron did. I didn't, because I didn't announce fake news, and I'm not going to make an apology because I never made a claim. I said that that's news to me. I hadn't heard about it. So anyway, no. I tried to track it down and see if it was true and couldn't find anything. And then someone came in the chat, one of the little spies that hangs around here, and told me that it was fake news. Well, okay, fake news, but I didn't spread the fake news. Heard on another channel, Clown News Network had someone on that said Biden must resign and Camel must take over. Yes, they can do that. They can do that, Leilani Las. They can do that. They can absolutely do that. And then all of Trump's 47 merch goes out the window. Yeah, it was Byron. It wasn't me. Well, that's the right thing to do. I don't know where Byron heard it. The problem is that Byron usually runs things down, but he's a commentator. He's not a news reporter. He's not a journalist. He's a commentator, and he's honest about that. That's what he does. He comments on the news. Commenting on the news is one thing. Doing news reporting is another thing. Doing both is a third thing. I do both. So, yeah. I never said you said I should apologize, Ken. No, that's not what I said. I'm not touchy. What are you talking about? You're the one being touchy here. You're the one being touchy here. I never said that. Anyway, we were talking about subscribers, Ken. That's the only time I mentioned you, Ken, was subscribers. Yeah. So back to the point, if I can finish the story. So the thing about subscribers is that, and I've described it many times, is that if you have a larger subscriber base, you're going to be promoted automatically by the algorithm in some respects. That's great. That helps viewership. It builds on itself. And we saw that when my original channel went from 2 to 21,000 subscribers in just 4 months. It just built on itself. But the real reason is that when you ask to do an interview, the larger your channel, the more likely it is someone famous will come on your channel. Frankly, I got to be honest. The fact that I've interviewed Peter Groenewald, Bantu Holomisa, Velenkosi Hilabisa, who else? Even John Steenhuisen. The fact that I've interviewed Steve Hofmeyer. The fact that I've interviewed Skulk Brits, Victor Matfield, Nas Bota. I even did a show with Nas Bota for a while. The fact that I've done all those people, Dr. Victor Davis Hansen, Kevin Sorbo, all of those had very little to do with the size of my channel. It had to do with either someone intervening to get those as guests on my channel who knew someone and their persistence, like Hank getting rugby guests, or because people found me compelling, or out of respect, the fact that I was a retired colonel. But Joe Rogan doesn't have to rely on being a retired colonel, a published author, an academic. He doesn't have to rely on any experience. He's a great interviewer, and he's got a huge following, and therefore anybody will go on his program. That's why subscribers matter. That's why the size of the channel matters. If I had 100,000 subscribers and look, do you think Itchy Boots would have blown me off if I had 1 million subscribers? Tell yourself that. I wrote to Itchy Boots. After she come out, she told me to get fucked. That's not what she said, but that's the essence of it. So if Itchy Boots had gotten a request from a content creator with 1 million subscribers instead of one with 14,000, I suspect she would have been very different. Just ask yourself that. Just ask yourself that. Anyway, so that's what it's all about. That I'm not being touchy, Ken. What are you talking about? You said, and I'm just elaborating the story. And that's why I said this isn't an attack on you. You're the one being touchy. I said this is not an attack on Ken. I said he raised the question about, he said, and it's a fair point. In fact, I even said what you said was a fair point. Don't focus on subscribers, focus on content and those who come here. I said that. I'm confused what you're confused about here, Ken. Yeah, Alan doesn't like Itchy Boots. Well, she's very popular, but I mean, when I asked her to come on the channel, I had 14,000 subscribers, if I recall correctly, and she told me to get screwed. All right, so what have I missed in the chat? Yeah, bystander, but you have to know. I think it doesn't show up unless you have to know who their names are. If folks find the Carly Simon song handy to give to someone, Mac Davis, it's hard to be humble. Many vet coordinators believe that they will not get paid. Yeah, that's true. She's 20 million in the hole. Yep, they're in debt. Gabrielle from Switzerland says, happy to stick by you, Chris. Well, thank you, Gabrielle. I appreciate that. Fleshton said, any thoughts on Australia planning to ban kids under 16? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, good luck with that. That's a fascist country. And Ken says, Byron made an apology for the fake news. Yeah. Well, I don't think he had to make an apology. Well, I think he should just done a correction of the record. If he did an apology, that's one thing. If he corrected the record and said I had bad information, that's different. Did you start all your 3 years? No, bystander. I started my first channel in 2006. Is that when it started? 2005, 2006, when YouTube first came out. That's the original channel. I started this channel because that channel was taken from me in April of 2021. So this one is 3.5 years old. And I started the Rugby Ascendant channel that summer. So that's just a little over three years old. I actually have, I think 6 or 7 YouTube channels. Paladin Warrior is another one. I had a campaign channel that I really haven't done anything with. So I really rely on 3 primarily. The Rugby, which is doing well. This channel, which is now over 20,000, and my original channel, which stagnates because YouTube certainly does hide at LMC, and that's a fact. All right. Perhaps you will keep your Ronaldo audio you strip for your donations. I do not do that. I do not do that. Christo says hello. Welcome, Christo Else. Okay. What else you got here? Dylan says 100%. Will Chris have a Christmas Eve call-in show? Courtney, should I do that? Actually, Christmas Day is on a Wednesday this year, and I'll be doing the radio program. Apparently, I'll be on the radio that night. We don't have a, best of that we're going to air, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, Sue says Byron did a short stream when he apologized. Okay. Yeah, so should I do a Christmas show? Yeah, okay. I usually do 3 of them. I think last year I just did 2. But people just aren't coming on. The first year was exciting. We had lots of people come on, including a few celebrities. People just don't want to give their time, and I understand that. So, but people want to call in. I mean, I do that because a lot of people are alone at Christmas. I don't want you to be lonely out there, so it's something I can do so you can have a sense of community. Yako, will Buck von Blair come on your show? No, Courtney. I have reached out to Buck von Blair's purported agent and never got a response. Reached out to Buck von Blair a long time ago. Forgot how I got a hold of him, but never even got a response. He does a slow beard stroke instead of a stripper move. Hey, Ronaldo, there you are. Peter Cvelli says, Colonel looks like Santa. Paul Beard, yeah. Never heard of Itchy Boots. Yeah, exactly. She is I think she was like an investment banker or something like that who made a ton of money. From a distance, she's very attractive. She's very personable with her Dutch accent. And she just gets on a motorcycle and travels all over the world. What a great life it is for her. She's had a wicked fall and really hinged badly last year. That upset her schedule a bit. So, but no, I think she's interesting. I think the channel is interesting. The content's great. The reason I reached out to her is that she was in Namibia and she was going to Botswana and she was confused about some things in Botswana. I lived in Botswana. I'm a content creator. I do interviews. I was doing hundreds of interviews at the time. So my audience asked me to interview her. When people ask me to interview people, I'll try. And I reached out to her and she basically turned me down. So that's her prerogative. She has no obligation to come on my program. No one does. I don't pay my guests. They don't have to come here. Royal family was late to the German royals. No, it was the House of Hanover, Garrett. It was renamed the House of Windsor because of World War I. Slight change topic. Why do you care about South African politics? Do you have South African heritage? I do not, Peter, and I've talked about this hundreds of times. But I'll do it now for the audience since we have some people here that probably never heard of me. Ronaldo's probably going to say, please don't read your CV. And so will Ellen. Say, give me a second here. So a kid growing up in the 1970s and not a mullet wearer and not a big collar and not a drug doer and not a big fan of rock and roll at the time, although I became to like it later, I lived on a farm and didn't have much to do other than work my tail off. So when I was in school, that was actually the highlight of my day, is going to school. However, I found school not to be particularly challenging and I was focused on the farm. So in my spare time at school, when I had time, I went to the library. And I read up. I looked at maps. I was fascinated by maps. My stepfather was a truck driver, noticed my interest in maps, and he would stop at petrol stations all across the country. They used to give out maps for free. Now they're not free. But they used to give them out. It was part of the, it was inexpensive. They made the maps. They gave them out so truckers would stop and get them. So he would come back from all his trips all the way out to California or Oregon or Texas or Florida and bring me all these maps. And I loved it. And I'd look at maps and I became fascinated by maps. That grew into an interest in geography and cartography. And that grew into an interest in history, an interest in German history for some reason. I have no idea why. World War I, World War II, then the Civil War, American history. And then I started noticing, reading magazines in the library about these liberation movements in Southern Africa, in German Southwest Africa, in Angola, in Mozambique, in Rhodesia. And I started following these things. Was the House of Hanover is what it was known as. So I began reading these things, and I was fascinated by Ian Smith and ZANU and ZAPU, and by the MPLA, UNITA, FNLA, Holden Roberto, the CIA. I read Stockwell's book about how the CIA backed the FNLA, what a dumb move that was in 1975. Anyway, and then Renamo and Frelimo, all that taking place in Mozambique. And so SWAPO, of course. And so I got interested in that. Well, in the late 1970s or 1980, I think it might have been, I got a book I didn't have much money, but I managed to get this book. I purchased I think a paperback was like $2.99 back then. I purchased a book called The Covenant by James Michener. He quickly became my favorite author. I had read one of his books. Actually, what it was, Centennial, was a television miniseries, and it fascinated me. It was about the settlement of the American Midwest as the pioneers moved across the Plain States. It's called Centennial, and focused on Colorado in the end, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so I became familiar with James Michener, and I started reading his books, and I got The Covenant, and I read it cover to cover, 1,200 pages of fine print in a paperback. And I was fascinated. It was a story of South Africa from when the planet formed all the way up until the modern day. And it went through all the history, and I thought, what a fascinating bunch of people. And so that began my interest in South Africa. Graduated from high school in 1982, went to university, partied, chased girls, wasn't serious about school, was dirt poor, was not a good experience academically, decided to come back when I was ready, enlisted in the Army to get money for university, went in the Army. While in the Army serving overseas, my interest in Africa grew even more. I read every magazine I could find on Africa, every book I could find in Africa. We had the, We Are the World famine relief in 1985. I was in Germany then. And I began self-teaching myself Afrikaans because I wanted to understand the National Party and Afrikaners and why they would impose a system like this. By this point, I'd already learned German, and I discovered learning German that knowing a language, a second language, a Fremdsprache, helps you understand a people better, their culture. So that's why I started learning Afrikaans. So I started teaching myself to read Afrikaans back in the 1980s. Then I got out of the Army after getting an associate's degree on active duty, went back into university in 1987 in history, and my focus was on African history, specifically Southern African history. So I had courses like revolutions in Southern Africa and other courses like that. I had one of my excellent history professors was this guy named Alan Booth, who was brilliant. He was a former naval intelligence officer, very objective guy, more left-leaning than center, but very objective. And it was fantastic. Evolutions and Revolutions, I think what the course was. So I graduated, but in the meantime, I was still learning languages. So I started learning Swahili, and I learned Swahili there. And so that's where it was. I left the part out about becoming a rugby fan, but that's not germane to becoming South Africa interest. And that's where my interest in South Africa grew. I made a decision in 1985 as a private first class that I wanted to go back to university, graduate, fix my academic record because I left with probation, came back and graduated with honors. I wanted to fix my academic record, get my degree in history with a focus on Africa and in German, double major. But I needed 2 more classes to get a double major, so I was short. I would have had to stay an entire year more just to get those classes, so I wasn't going to do that. So I was a history major, German minor. Graduated, but my plan was to graduate with a degree, come back in the Army as a military intelligence officer, regular Army, which was a distinction. You had to fight and earn that. Very few officers who went to university got regular Army. Most were just the West Pointers. So I had to earn that, and then become a regular Army officer, military intelligence, and then later become a foreign area officer. And I left a little piece of the story out, so I'll get back to that. So this is not a CV, Matthew. This is a history. A CV is very different. You need to look up the definition of a curriculum vitae. Anyway, so this is more a Lebenslauf. More a Lebenslauf. Ik praat nie Afrikaans nie. Ik praat nie Afrikaans nie, maar ek verstaan. So, anyway, I decided I wanted to go in this foreign air officer program. This is all in 1985. I decided, well, actually, it was 1984. I correct myself. It was 1984 when I did this. I made this decision when I was at PFC, 84. I made the decision that I would become a regular Army, military intelligence, foreign area officer for sub-Saharan Africa, and make full colonel and be the defense attaché in South Africa. Every one of those things came true through perseverance, hard work, incredible perseverance, by the way. Hey, there you go, Patrick. Thank you. Thank you for that. So all of that came true, except I never became the defense attaché in South Africa. When I became a full colonel, which is a pretty difficult thing to do, statement of fact there are only 18 colonels in that career field in the entire U.S. Army. 75,000 officers, and 18 of them do what I did. Now, that's actually up. It was 12 when I decided to do it, so the chances to make it were 50% less. Anyway, I didn't become the defense attaché in South Africa because I couldn't do it. They had shifted it from the Army to the Navy. So the Navy got the position for some reason. They thought the Navy was more important to have it, and so the Navy got it. That was an AFRICOM decision. So all the rest of that came true, and that's where my interest in South Africa came from. So 1984, the event I left out of this is I went to the Education Center on Rose Barracks in Bad Kreuznach, Germany. I sat down in the Education Center to sign up for a college class in the evenings. There were a bunch of people there, most of them simply malingers trying to get out of working in the motor pool because they were lazy. This happened every time I went to the Ed Center. Anyway, I waited my turn. I finally went to see an education counselor. We filled out the paperwork for the course. But while I was waiting a long time, an interminable amount of time, I looked down, and then on the table next to me, there was a pamphlet. And the pamphlet said the Army Foreign Area Officer Program, pictures of officers in dress uniform in, Asia and Latin America and Africa wearing fatigues. And it said that the Army Foreign Area Officer Program joined this. Well, I wasn't an officer, so it's not something I could do. I was a private. It says you get a fully funded postgraduate degree that they pay for in the Army while you're on active duty. So you get your salary and you get to go to university. Wow, how cool is that? They send you to school for language, so you pick up on the language. They pay for that. How cool is that? You're still in the Army, get a salary. And then you go abroad for a year and you work typically in an embassy, kind of like an intern. How cool is that? So you get regional familiarization. So I signed up for that. Now, the one thing I never got from it was I never got the fully funded grad degree because I had my degree. I got sent out of the program briefly, and I applied to come back instead of just being an intelligence officer. In the meantime, I'd earned a degree, and so they never sent me for a degree. So I never got a degree out of it. I did that on my own. But my degree much of the tuition was paid for by the Army nonetheless. Just didn't run off to a university for a year. I did it by distance, which was incredibly difficult. Anyway, so 1984, saw a little pamphlet and said, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a regular Army, military intelligence, foreign area officer for sub-Saharan Africa, make full colonel. That was a pretty lofty ambition, and there you go. It all came true, except for that last part. In all my years in the Navy, I've only met a few captains. Exactly, Courtney. Meeting a captain that's a full colonel. Captain in the Navy is the same as a full colonel. It's the same rank. There aren't a lot. Unless you come to the Army War College, the Air War College, the Naval War College, or the Pentagon. You go to those four places, and there's colonels everywhere. You see the SANDF, Navy, and Air Force in steep decline. Yes, it is. I've talked about it. Would you consider moving to the Cape to retire if you like South Africa so much? Peter, we've talked about this endlessly. I've considered moving to Somerset West on more than one occasion. Also to a spot development between Franschhoek and Paarl. That's another option. But South Africa needs some more change before I set up residence there. It's still a state that facilitates the financing of terrorism. It's still a state with a massive crime problem, particularly in the Western Cape. It's a very dangerous country, and I cherish life too much to give it up. And there's some other sacrifices. But yeah, South Africa is a wonderful place, amazing country, just needs to clean up. Coy says, when I grow up, never want to have nostalgia. There's no nostalgia here, Coyer. I live for today and tomorrow, but I do remember what has passed. All right, Somerset West would be my choice as well. Paarl is nice, but massively expensive. Well, I said between Franschhoek and Paarl, not in Paarl. No, I don't find Paarl very appealing. I do find Franschhoek appealing, but it's incredibly expensive because it's just there. You got mountains on both sides. You really can't expand. The prices are too much. But there are some gorgeous, amazing property developments, gated communities between Paarl and there that are really nice. Nothing carved in stone. Anything's possible in life when you put your mind to it. Yep. Why not Bella Bella? Why not Pala Pala? What else have I missed here in the chat? And Patrick, I saw him. Okay, there's Courtney gave another $1.99 super chat. Thank you for that. I'm very nostalgic for the 80s. Yeah, I am nostalgic for that. Pater says Colonel Chris for president. Yeah, Erica says I feel safer in Cape Town than Durban. Yeah, I could see that. What's with the trucks striking, or why are they striking? I haven't seen that yet. What about moving to Motherwell? I don't know Motherwell, Green Phantom. Where is that at? Ronaldo tried to get me to move to Iserfontein. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Frelimo's cracking down. Yes, but it's a little bit quieter than it was. Okay, so Ronaldo popped in earlier. Please don't read your CV. I did not read my CV. You guys did not read my CV. All right, on to the news. We spent an hour chatting. That's nice. I mean, really enjoyed this. Really nice. Vilma's sister's moving to Paarl. Okay. Motherwell's a township in PE. Patrick, I'm not a fan of PE. Look, nothing against people who live in PE. Fantastic people, but I've not seen anything appealing. And Ronaldo's shown me apparently all there is to see in PE. It just doesn't float my boat. George? Neisda? Yeah, maybe. But PE, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. I don't know. Is Bebop Williams here? Hello to Bebop Williams. There you go. By when does the Senate leader have to be elected? There's no specific dates, and it can happen anytime. Look, they can hold a vote for Senate leader anytime. We saw that Fontaine is known for wedding sports venues. That's all I've heard. Really? There's nothing there except a bunch of houses. You foresee austerity measures by cutting civil servant jobs? Yes, I do. They think that they're going to cut money, but there's no way to cut the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way to cut the U.S. federal budget unless you change federal law and you limit. For instance, one way to automatically stop the growth in the deficit is to have no cost of living allowances for Social Security or for military pension retirees or for VA disability. Just to hold the line. People will squawk. They will say it's unfair. I'm a person who receives a military pension and receives a disability payment from the Veterans Administration. I would get no more money and it would suck. But either we stop this out of control spending or our country goes bankrupt and the world's economy will collapse and it will be just chaos the world over. So we have to have adults in the room and someone has to make a decision. That's one way to stop it. But there's no way that Elon Musk comes in and cuts $2 trillion of spending out. Now, you can cut $600 billion out like that. We're giving money to people 4 years, 5 years after the COVID scam as financial support. Why? Stop it immediately. Another way to save money is stop $5 billion a year in subsidies for sugar and stop subsidies for ethanol. But that's going to anger a lot of people in those industries. But they have no right to my tax money, no right to tax breaks for making ethanol, for selling sugar at 3 times the global price. It's insane. The patronage networks have been set up by Democrats and Republicans over the past half century need to be dismantled. Elon Musk can give it a shot, but it's going to take law to change that. You have to change the law. And that will take courage on the part of the House and Senate and the president. And what will happen is if we do this, initially there will be pain in year 1 and year 2. And what will happen in 2026, the Republicans will be punished and Democrats will take control of the House and possibly the Senate once again. And then Trump will have no Congress and nothing will be accomplished for his last 2 years. So we are really in a dilemma here. Really in a dilemma here. Fear a go will end. Now, first off, Coyer, a go will not end. A go is not for South Africa. Let's be clear about that. The Africa Growth and Opportunity Act is for African countries, not for South Africa. South Africa is by definition an African country, therefore it can qualify for a GOA. Yes, a GOA may end for South Africa, but a GOA is not going anywhere. It will be renewed. Victoria is great. Blue Bull country. Well, I agree. I love the Highveld. Yep. Porklear says, noon on the dot. You must be in the mountain states then, or the central time zone. VFIC went pretty deep with Tucker on getting rid of the bureaucrats. I didn't see that, so I don't know what he said. Got to be desperate to retire in South Africa, says Jan. Okay. That's where Kamala annoyed you so much. She was unburdened by what is past, perhaps able to accept the fiction past all its history. No, she annoyed me because she's just such a fraud. Maybe a phase out over time of those subsidies. Yes, well, Tom, that's what's going to have to happen. That's what's going to have to happen. That's why I say you stop the COLA increase. That's going to save money right there. I mean, if inflation is 5%, let's just do the math, okay? So let's just say inflation is 5% and that they're going to increase the payouts by 5%. Okay, given that 82% of the budget of $7.4 trillion budget is this social spending that we're going to increase, probably about half of that is the payments we can cut. So that's 40% of the budget. So $7 trillion. So about 3.8 trillion, about 3.5 trillion. From that, you can cut increases. So a 5% increase on $3.5 trillion is going to be $50 billion for every trillion. That's almost $200 billion right there, simply by not giving cost of living increases. Save $200 billion. Then you cut the $600 billion in expenditures that are being given out to people. That's $800 billion right there. That's $800 billion. So there is a way to take money out, and that reduces the spending. But it's not easy. Shouldn't cut Obamacare until that. First off, Quayer, there's no such thing as Obamacare. It does not exist. The Affordable Care Act, which was unaffordable, is not Obamacare. They called it that. There is no care involved in it. We do not have a medical system. We do not have a national single-payer system, thank God. We have an amalgam of lots of things: private, Lutheran, Catholic hospitals, for-profit hospitals, state-run institutions, each of the states, community-run hospitals. Then we have also military system, and then we have the Veterans Administration system. This is an amalgam of all sorts of different hospitals and clinics and medical procedures, private practice, all over the country. All over the country. None of it is a system as such. There's an effort to do that, but it just doesn't work very well. What Obamacare did, the Affordable Care Act, is it perverted the paying system. It perverted the paying system, and as a consequence, it forced people to accept people pre-existing conditions. So if I approach you as an applicant for health insurance, because I don't have it, but right now I have cancer and my treatments cost $50,000 a month, but you give me a policy and I only have to pay you $1,000 a month, you have to lose $49,000 a month by law. You have no choice, no option. As a consequence, everybody's premiums went up, and 20 million working Americans were pushed off their employer's health care program because the employer was paying for the health care. Now the employer can't afford to pay for $10,000 a year in premiums when it was just $1,000 or $2,500. So they got rid of 20 million health insurance programs for people working. So 20 million working Americans were pushed off the healthcare rolls so that 10 million illegal aliens could get free healthcare, which they didn't get anyway. And premiums went up because pre-existing conditions could not be used as a determinant for health insurance. And therefore, health insurers were screwed, which meant that the people paying for health insurance were screwed. And that's the reality. So this is what Obamacare did. There is no money for Obamacare. There's no budget line that says Obamacare, affordable health care. There's no money for that. The cost of health care that's paid by the state is Medicare and Medicaid. These are programs started in the 1960s and later that pay for the health care for retirees. It's a social system that does not work. Now, they give a fixed amount. So, for instance, let me see something here real quick. This is my medical bill for the procedure I just had, okay? Let me just tell you how perverted this system is, okay? Now, for me, this isn't bad because as a retiree, I have a very favorable insurance program. But when I joined the military and throughout my entire 36-year career, well, 20 years of that 36-year career, I was promised free health care for life for myself and my family members. Well, at least any kids till they turn 18, then they go on their own. But spouse, the rest of their life if I had one. So this is the bill. Okay, so I had a needle EMG extremity parasapini area complete study. $416. I had a motor and sensory nerve conducting pre-configured enterode limb sum. Anyway, $567. The total bill was $983. $983. All right. So my insurer, TRICARE, which is provided by Humana, which is a private corporation which bid for the contract with U.S. government, U.S. military. Humana agreed to pay $327 of that $983. I paid $37 as my copay. So that means $365 of a $983 bill was paid. The other $618 was written off. The provider does not collect the $618 cost for that procedure. Now, you may say, hey, that's inflated. That isn't really what it cost. And so they're inflating that cost to get money. Well, I can't say. I don't know what it actually costs to give me that annoying nerve test where they jab me with electric jolts and my freaking limbs jump. It wasn't that bad, but it was necessary to determine that I had neuropathy or not. So $983 for that procedure. Now, I went back to see the doctor. I went to see the doctor before that. I paid a copay of $37, and then that visit cost $200 and some dollars. They only pay like $30, and I paid $30. I went back afterwards, and same thing. So you put all that cost together, it's about $1,200 or $1,500, and they paid a total of about $400, and I paid $100. So that's that's 1/3 of the actual cost of the medical procedure. Who pays for the other $1,000 in cost? Private insurers. Private insurers and cash payers, those who have money pay for it. That is morally wrong. Clover says social systems by definition should not be profitable. The state should cover the cost to ensure the workforce is healthy. Nonsense. Utter nonsense, Claire. No. The state should cover. There's no such thing as a state, Claire. There's no state. When someone gets Medicare and Medicaid, I pay for their care. My neighbor pays for the care. This neighbor pays for the care. Why should we pay for someone's care who sat around their entire life, ate Snickers, did no exercise, has type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, physically unfit, a heart condition, clogged arteries, needs multiple operations? Why should we pay for their laziness and sloth? Someone smokes for 40 years. Why should we pay the $500,000 for their cancer surgery? Those were choices. Those were decisions they made, and we must pay for it. Socialization is stupid. It's stupid. Now, people have private insurance. They take risk. The people who smoke, the people who have sloth, who are unhealthy, they pay higher premiums than healthy people. And therefore, the corporations take less of a risk with them because you have to pay out and they get more money from those people. Work leader says that's their choice, shouldn't cost taxpayers. 100%. PK came on late. Being a soldier for your country is a sad thing. People don't realize how much people give up. Well, you're very welcome, PK. And no, people do not have any idea if they've not served. And even people served oftentimes do not know. 36 and a half years, my entire adult life. My entire adult life until a few years ago. Only to have hate wankers come on my channel and, who are you to talk about this? What do you know? You don't know anything. Oh, you lived somewhere for 5 days. I didn't live somewhere 5 days. I spent most of my life I lived abroad. Anyway, South African national health will bankrupt. Yes, it will, Neville. It will the country will be destroyed. State taxes people paying that money should be used to take care of the less fortunate. I don't mind helping the poor. It's a Christian virtue. Well, Coyer, you don't mind helping the poor? You have a church. There are Lutheran hospitals. There's the Shriners Hospital. Give your money to those churches. Give your money to those hospitals. Don't take my tax money. And not everyone's a Christian. Some people are Muslims. Some people are Wiccans. Some people are Buddhists. Some people are Jews. It is a Christian virtue. But not everybody's a Christian. And not everybody should have to pay for it. That's morally bankrupt. Taking money, confiscating money from one group of people, giving it to someone else is not kind and generous and virtuous. It's theft. If people want to be generous, that's their responsibility. In Christianity, you're normally expected to tithe 10% of your income to the church or charitable causes. So do it. If people gave 10%, look, Coyer, I'm not talking about whether I'm a Christian. I'm talking about my position. I'm talking about the moral bankruptcy of the position you just put out there. Gordon's Bay. Neville. Gordon's Bay. Yes, I actually had my eye. I looked at a place that I could afford that's owned by a very famous South African in a little development down there, which is quite nice. But I mean, of course, as a climate zealot who's concerned about carbon dioxide and how the polar ice caps are melting and the polar bears are starving and the seas will rise, how in the world could I possibly buy a condo in Gordon's Bay? It will be underwater in 10 years. That's what Greta Thunberg told me. You destroyed the world. Yes, John, it's extortion. Yes. So, yeah, there's a real reason behind national health insurance. They say that you can't smoke or drink because we're paying as a government. Well, I find that hard. Well, mountainside suburb. Yep. Give to Caesar, says Coyer. Andre says, correct, Chris. Redressing past injustice with new injustice simply creates more injustice. I don't think I said that, but I do agree with that statement. Businesses often calculate not cost profit, but maximum income payback from the graph. Folks pay against the numbers who can afford the amount. Yep. Falcon 9. Let's go to SpaceX. We haven't even done the darn news, guys. Gosh, we're having a good time here. SpaceX. So the Falcon 9, has it launched already? When is it launching? Okay, let's go there and see. Where's it at? This is old. What are you talking about? SpaceX is launching. What are you guys talking about, man? Actually, I need to go to Twitter. That's where I need to go. That's where it'll be. The one place I can find it, I know, is Twitter. SpaceX. There we go. SpaceX. There's no launch today. It would be all over their Twitter page. There's nothing there. What are you guys talking about? What's this? States Harris 1 versus ID requirement. Oh, here we go. All right, so let me bring this up because this has been something people have been talking about for a long time. So let me make sure I've got this all shut down. So hang on a second there. Where's the goat? Okay, I got the goat shut down. All right, so here you go. States Harris 1 versus ID requirement. In the states she won, there's no ID requirement in any of them. Pennsylvania doesn't have an ID requirement either. Actually, I'm sorry. In looks like Connecticut, ID is required. So look at that. Look at that. That's a great graphic right there. And that's a story a lot of people have been talking about, but I had no evidence to back it up. I'm not looking up all 50 states. Look at that. A sugar tax helps those addicted to sugar. That leads to illnesses. This will reduce the load on the state. Well, there shouldn't be a load on the state. The load should be on the private sector. And a sugar tax is immoral. There's nothing wrong with sugar. Almost 60 years old. I drink sugar like there's no end to it. But when it's too much, I back off. People need to be responsible for their actions. Somerset West is still a great spot, okay? Well, it's a little bit higher than Gordons Bay, therefore I won't be flooded. All right, so I missed a few comments. South Africa will bankrupt, okay? State taxes, money, Christian thing. All right, okay. Not sure how true this is, but I saw a story on Facebook, the Stellenbosch students that uncovered the SASA grant scams received. Probably getting death threats, but I haven't seen anything. There's a reason behind NHI. Okay. Eric is being called to dinner. Businesses that often calculate. Got that already. Okay. See X. I went to X, Hendo. There's nothing on X. Here, I'll show you. Here's X. There's nothing there. I went to X. Starship 6 test flight. This is X right now. Okay, when I click on that, it takes me here. 6 tech upcoming launch. November 18th. That's a week from now. Not now. It's a week from now. November 18th. Starship 6 flight. That's not today. So there's nothing here. On November 18th. There's nothing here, guys. I don't know what you're seeing. Somebody send me a link for what you're finding. Okay, I think there's still a lot of weird stuff coming out around the Harris campaign. I agree. Rocket reuse record today. It's not there. Okay. Father passed away fighting for his country. My brother fought in Afghanistan. People need to put more effort into helping veterans. Time for electoral reform. Federal across the board. Paper ballots. No more Dominion machines. How to use, that's what Porkleager says. How the USA has lasted this long without voter ID. It's just federal. Well, Arctic, voter ID, no voter ID is a recent development. Okay, again. Molly Hemingway exposes all of this. The 350 lawsuits filed by the Democrats and political action committees on behalf of the Democrats for after Trump won in 2016, they weakened our election laws across the country. Molly Hemingway, rigged. How the media, big tech, and Democrats seized our elections. Former Fox News analyst, I don't know if she's still there. Let me see what she says in the back here. Co-author of national bestseller Justice on Trial, The Kavanaugh Confirmation, The Future of the Supreme Court, is one of America's most influential and trusted political journalists, a senior editor of the online magazine The Federalist, which she helped launch. She's a popular Fox News contributor and a senior journalism fellow at Hillsdale College. In 2021, her distinguished reporting commentary earned her the prestigious Bradley Prize, awarded extraordinary contribution to American scholarship. 2019, she was recognized for journalistic integrity and willingness to stand alone beside the truth by the Heritage Foundation. She's been profiled in the New York Times, her work in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, LA Times, The Guardian, The Washington Post, Claremont Review, and Christianity Today. A former Lincoln Fellow of the Claremont Institute and a recipient of the Phillips Foundation Journalism Fellowship, Hemingway holds an honorary doctorate from Concordia Theological Seminary. What really happened in the 2020 election? Millions of Americans who experienced the weirdest and most troubling election of their lives want answers. With unparalleled access to key figures of that contest, Molly Hemingway has compiled the authoritative account of the 2020 election in a book that reinforces her reputation as one of America's most trusted and competent investigative journalists. Never was there such heavy-handed meddling in election by the most powerful institutions in the country. The press brazenly concealed unfavorable news about Joe Biden and his family while continuing its long disinformation campaign against President Trump. Big tech censored dissenters from the established narrative, while the Democratic Party manipulated a public health crisis to change the voting processes in ways that left it laughably insecure. All right, as accounts of irregularities aroused doubts around the integrity of the electoral system, the media marching in lockstep dismissed every expression of skepticism as self-evidently baseless. But as Hemingway doggedly report reveals, there are abundant reasons to suspect the election. Okay. All right, devastating account exposes fraud and cynicism behind the Democrats' historic power grab, destroyed the faith of millions of Americans. So this is Arctic. We always had ID requirements. I had never voted in person in my life anywhere and not been required to produce photo ID until 2017. This started. Yeah, Rehendo, the news will be on night owls at this rate. Sugar's better than artificial sweeteners. That's for darn sure. Those are cancer causers. Vilma just got a notification from SpaceX. I don't know what you guys are getting, folks. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing it. Nobody's. Maybe somebody put the link in since I was chatting there. Where was I at? I had a lot of news to get through here too. Gosh, I did a lot of work on the news this morning. We haven't got to it. Friend of mine working in the U.S. had to undergo brain surgery there. Got 85% discount from me in cash and no health care. There you go. That's crazy. Andre said, I didn't realize the no voter ID correlates with Harris wins. That's very interesting. Andre, several people have made that claim, but I have not had time to research it. So that graphic from One American News is very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And Porklinger found a SpaceX broadcast. On Twitter, SpaceX Live, KoreaSat 6 mission. Okay, I'll go back to Twitter. I mean, look, I like covering these things too, guys, but that's Twitter. Okay, where the hell they go? There we go, Twitter. SpaceX. 36 million followers. November 6th. I don't know where you guys are seeing this, man. Oh, here it is. Got it.
9 Merlin engines for liftoff.
Oh, 2 minutes away. We got it. Here you go. Thanks, guys.
The payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues with the rocket.
Okay, the U.S. will know the House results probably in a couple more days. It's some really tight races there that they've got to figure out. T-minus 2 minutes and counting. Thank you guys for pointing out. Sorry about that. Here we go. All right, SpaceX, Falcon 9 launch. All right, cool beans. There's an outcome Arizona race. Yeah, Kerry Lake's losing. Yep, so. All right, cool beans. Here we go. All right, T-minus 141. Look at that, baby. That is beautiful. All right, cool beans. A lot of states changed that in 2020. Yeah, Georgia changed its voting laws, required ID, changing it back to what it should have been. And the Democrats squealed and said that was voter suppression, when in fact, more people vote. They changed it in 2020. In 2022, they set a record for voters. In 2024, they set a record for voters. This is a Korea satellite, isn't it? It's being launched. So here we go. We're getting close. T-minus 1 is coming up. SpaceX launch. Wow, bonus here on a Monday, folks. We'll update on this as it goes along, but we'll watch the launch. T-minus 1 minute.
Which means that Falcon 9 is now running off of its internal flight computers, and we are waiting for the go, no-go from the launch director.
You better give it soon.
LB, go for launch.
Good for launch.
There we have it. At T-minus
We're
40
go.
seconds, all systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9.
Here we go. Thank you, Wilma.
T-minus 30 seconds.
This is always fun, folks. This is always fun. Love these things. Hopefully this goes well.
T-minus 15.
Here we go. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
And
off she goes! Elon Musk once again sending Julius Malema into orbit. I'm sorry, that's a future mission. Wow. Look at that.
Vehicle is pitching downrange. Penalty propulsion is double.
This is a Korean satellite that's being launched. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It's becoming, just commonplace now.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying the KoreaSat 6A satellite. During ascent, we tilt or gimbal the engines, and that turns the rocket horizontally.
Power and telemetry nominal.
A maneuver known
Telemetry
as
is
a
nominal.
gravity turn. We're still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q.
Once again, woke SpaceX, all of the people who comment are women or people my color. No white guys allowed. It's a Falcon 9 rocket. That's correct. Juju's future flight. Julius Malema, please pay attention to SpaceX. We'll be funding your flight to Mars soon enough. Billions while children go hungry at home. No, Coyer. What are you talking about? Billions while children go hungry at home. The Korea satellite's going into space. Korea satellite will provide better telecommunications in Korea and the ability to take care of people. So what are you talking about? It's also the private sectors. What's your beef? Boy, you seem to love government there, Coyer. You seem to be in love with government and taking money from other people. No, this is private sector. This is a private enterprise. This is all funded and paid for by the private sector. Now, the Korean government might be behind the satellite 6. I don't know. But That's their choice. What children are going hungry? I don't know any children in Korea who are hungry. Are Koreans supposed to spend $6 billion to feed hungry children in South Africa or in Namibia rather than take care of their own country? Is that what we're arguing? There's the coastline of Florida. You can see it in the background there from that angle. So there you go. Yep, that's kilometers per hour at 5,500. It picks up speed here very quickly. See no purpose in space. We got to find ET up there. Coyer, we've discovered so much about life on the planet. We've discovered so much about our climate, so much about future mining capabilities. All that. There's the separation. We have separation. Main engine cutoff. We've passed that. Look at that, man. Look at that, falling back to Earth. There she comes. There she comes. All right. Wow. So that was pretty quickly this time. Look at the rocket falling back to Earth. You can see on the left-hand side there. Wow, that's pretty cool. We'll wait around for the rocket to come back. It'll take a few minutes for that to land. Chris the Boar will play a first-class ticket if it's for Choo-Choo. Yeah, I think they will, Monterey. I think they will. At 4,500 kilometers per hour now, it's slowing down as it picks up altitude. That's not very fast. This must be low Earth orbit because the other ones get up to 20-some thousand kilometers per hour. Yeah, so this one's going much slower than we're used to seeing with SpaceX. There's where the satellite is.
Separation confirmed.
There you go. Fairing separation confirmed. There's the satellite.
Fairing separation as well.
And the satellite will be launched shortly.
We'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth using our recovery vessel, Doug.
Doug
Next
is
up,
the recovery vessel.
One boost back shutdown.
Boost back shutdown.
We just had confirmation that we completed our boost back burn. So it's about T plus 3 minutes and 40 seconds into today's mission.
All right, so yeah, that's so the ship itself is still gaining. The one going into altitude. There you go. I misread that. Yeah, it's the Falcon 9 rocket coming back down that's losing speed. On the right-hand side, it picked up to 8,200 kilometers per hour now in altitude 135. So it is not low Earth orbit. This one's going to go up high. Yep. Send Helen Zilla into space. That's right. If it wasn't for space travel, we probably not have a lot of things we have now. Test flight for Beijing Biden. So on the left-hand side, you see the Falcon 9. The fairings have been deployed as it comes down. Its speed has been reduced dramatically from the 4,500 kilometers per hour. It's at an altitude of 132. I wonder why it's they're firing the rockets to turn it, I guess. It's stabilized. I mean, I've never seen the Falcon 9 hang around so long up there at 132 kilometers. That's bizarre. Meanwhile, at 10,000 kilometers per hour, the main aircraft or spacecraft is still climbing speed at 157 kilometers above the Earth. Fleshton's getting vertigo watching it. Elon Musk is an African American. Of course, you can say that if you like. Put a monkey in space. Yeah, the Soviets put a monkey in space back in the 1950s. Obviously, Andre, what's this? Yeah, so it's picking up speed as it comes down. Now, they'll fire rockets. On the left, that thing is still, on the right, still going. So we're 5 minutes into the mission. Let me bring myself down here, and you can see a little bit better. There you go. All right, so the rockets on the left, you can see some cables hanging loose there as it comes down. That's the Falcon 9. On the right, look at that thing. Look how hot that is. Those things burn so hot. So what's that sliding around there? That was interesting. That's the other engine. 13,500 kilometers per hour now. The satellite keeps the position in orbit, drop in a bucket by gravity. You get in geosynchronous space. Now, this is weird. You keep seeing these things slide around the ring on that engine there, that other engine. So we're got entry burn coming up for the rocket on the left-hand side just momentarily. As it picks up a lot of speed, they're going to have to slow it down, and they'll be firing entry burn very shortly. And then we have the landing burn just a couple more minutes, and then we'll drop off of this and go back to the news and conversation. So Werner von Braun must be proud. Yeah, no doubt. Here we go. We're approaching entry burn on the left-hand side. Let me bring her back for commentary.
Burn startup.
Here's the startup.
There is the beginning of entry burn.
There it is. There it is. On the left-hand side, entry burn. as we come back down. Speed will reduce dramatically now from 4,500 to 4,200 to 4,100 kilometers per hour. Altitude dropping quickly, just 45 kilometers now. The Earth will come back into focus here shortly.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
All right, now they've shut down stage 1, so it'll pick up speed
On
again.
awesome view of stage 1's entry burn.
And you can see the small rockets adjusting the
As
attitude.
it heads back towards landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Space
Both
Force
vehicles
Station.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
So this one's going to land on shore instead of at sea. Cool. All right, we're now at 21,000 kilometers per hour for the spacecraft, and that engine is
In about
glowing
30
hot.
seconds, we will begin the landing burn on stage 1, where the center engine E9
Stage 1
will
FTS
land.
has saved.
Yeah, where is Pablo Charlie?
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Terminal
Stage 1
guidance.
transonic.
Just 5 kilometers above the surface now on the
Oh,
left-hand
great.
side.
Stage 1 callouts right there.
Here it comes. We'll break through the clouds momentarily, and you'll see the Earth.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
Here we come. There's the fire. There it is. There it is. Burning. There it is. Coming in for the landing.
An
Here she
awesome
is.
view of landing
700
zone.
meters,
We are
600
now
meters,
waiting
400
for
meters,
Falcon 9 to
300
land
meters,
back on land
200
at
meters.
Landing zone 1.
That's a terrible angle.
Stage 1 landing leg deployed.
And it is. There you go, baby. Yes.
And there you
SpaceX
have it.
once
That
again.
landing marks SpaceX's
Falcon 9, 8 minutes
364th
into flight.
recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
Wow.
Nominal parking orbit. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Woohoo! Back at Cape Canaveral. Look at that.
We also had SECO 1, and with that,
Second
let's
engine
return
cut off.
to our mission in progress.
All right, we're going to drop off here.
The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase, during which we're going to take a short break. And
Wow.
after the coast phase, we will light that MVAC engine for
All right, so they're at 27,000 kilometers per hour now at 164 kilometers altitude. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That was exciting, huh? No kabooms. Sorry, no kabooms, guys. Those days are gone. Not just about space travel, but about satellites communication. It's also about medicine. It's about medicine. We've discovered a lot about medicine for humans and by that nice landing. Yeah. Drop in a bucket says, but how does it keep its distance from Earth constant? The gravity. If you spin something around, right, it will keep its distance. Can't fathom why people worship oligarchs like Elon. This won't make anything cheaper. The spacecraft needs to carry more fuel for landing. It won't make anything cheaper. Well, Coyer, the cost of a space mission has gone from over $157 million down to around $35 million as a consequence of Falcon 9's development. How will it not make things cheaper? It's already made things cheaper. It's made things demonstrably cheaper. And this is why they launch these things all the time. This is why SpaceX dominates the commercial space market. And why are you calling him an oligarch? You might call him a monopolist because no one else is competing effectively with him in the market sector, but he's not an oligarch. Come on, that's Russia. And I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not defending him, just stating the facts here. All right. They were perfect in the landing, absolutely perfect. Anyway, Coyer is welcome to Coyer's opinion. Everyone has their opinion. They're welcome to it. All right, back to this. ESCOM will not cut the power to Joburg. The electric slide minister, Kojisenso Ramakopa, you can do it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Yeah, Kojisenso Ramakopa has negotiated that ESCOM won't cut the power. Well done, my fellow. Retracted the threat to cut electricity to Joburg after intervention from the Minister of Electricity. The minister highlighted the broader issue of municipal debt to ESCOM, which has risen to nearly 100 billion rand. Wow. Cyril Ramaphosa rubbishes Pala report, says it's all just rubbish. Guess what? Anything Cyril Ramaphosa has to say on the topic of Pala has zero credibility. Zero credibility. Yes, lawyers representing President Cyril Ramaphosa will tell the Constitutional Court a panel led by former Chief Justice Sandile Nkopo relied on hearsay without any evidence. No, they relied on prima facie as evidence, and he doesn't like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic Alliance has kicked Ronaldo Jose out of their party over a video that was intentionally altered and then presented I don't know who altered it, but it was altered and then presented by the Independent Online in a fraudulent fashion to create a hysterical racist narrative, labeling him illegitimately as a racist. And the South African Capture Human Rights Commission jumped on this while ignoring actual racism in South Africa. So they kicked Ronaldo Guz out over a 14-year-old video that was recorded when he was not a member of the Democratic Alliance. Yet now they have a member of the Democratic Alliance with credible allegations of sexting minor children. Sexting minor children. The deputy mayor in George has been accused of this, and the DA is largely silent on the issue. They're not kicking him out. A DA counselor in George continues to serve as deputy mayor despite his party suspending him from all organizational activities over allegations of misconduct involving a matric pupil. The George Council resolved not to haul Deputy Mayor Rabin Figlin before a disciplinary hearing after an internal investigation apparently found that the evidence presented was inconclusive. The Good Party has revived calls for Mayor Jackie van Brandes to suspend her deputy pending a fresh investigation. The party claims that Figlin has allegedly involved in a relationship with a matric pupil and other young people, and the allegation the deputy mayor has denied. The girl in question was traumatized by the events and eventually dropped out of school. After meeting with the girl, the DA commission suggests the party pay for counseling and psychological treatment to address the trauma resulting from her interaction with the senior party, said Good Counselor Chantel Kidd. Is Chantel Kidd lying, or is she telling the truth? If Chantel Kidd is correct, and notice I use the if Chantel Kidd is correct in telling the truth that the DA paid for counseling for a traumatized teen who dropped out of school based on her interaction with this guy, then what's inconclusive? By the way, this investigation went back a long time ago. So the alleged incident took place in 2022 and was brought to the attention of Tertia Simmers of the Western Cape in October of 2023, despite the DA's internal investigation, which concluded in February. The DA concluded in February this investigation, and this guy is still in office. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 10 months, nearly 10 months since they investigated this guy, and he's still there. Their investigation was inconclusive. Well, I'll tell you what, the DA's investigation against Ronaldo Guz was flawed. It started in July and ended in September. And they kicked him out of the party for an offense he did not commit. The Democratic Alliance is a fraudulent party that protects pedos. That's what people are going to say about it. That's what people are going to say about the DA based on this story. The Good Party is correct to push the story, unless it's a lie. If Chantel Kidd is lying, if she's incorrect, then someone needs to investigate this. If Mr. Figlin is not guilty of this act, then the DA must come out and defend him, since they did an investigation. The DA says that it cannot convict him for allegedly sexting a pupil. The party today said it concluded its internal disciplinary process in February. Despite repeated efforts, the key witness in the case refused to testify. Without her evidence, it was impossible for the panel to convict Figlin in the matter. It was, however, factually established the young woman involved was over the age of 18 at the time the alleged incident occurred, ruling out allegations of criminal liability. Okay, well, the DA says she was over 18. Interesting. The Good Party says she was a minor, and other people are involved. Where does the truth lie? Is this just a smear campaign against the DA? This is what I would consider a much more serious allegation than this bogus allegation against Ronaldo Guz and this bogus DA investigation. Much more serious allegation. This is one in which the DA owes the public much more transparency on what they discovered, not simply a one-sentence terse statement about this person. If this person did nothing wrong and it was an adult, okay. But you conclude your investigation in February. Why do we wait until November when the Good Party raises the issue again? Are they just doing it for political gain? Maybe they are. But the actions of the Democratic Alliance throw shade on the veracity of their conclusions. I'm just saying. Coyer wants video evidence of what? Of what? Well, the DA Minister in Government for Communications is killing the SABC bill. Communications Digital Technologies Minister Saleh Malatsi's withdrawal of the contentious SABC bill from Parliament has been criticized as a hasty move that could herald the beginning of the end of the state-owned broadcaster. And you know what I say? Yay! The end of a state-owned propaganda outlet. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Yep. As reported by the Sunday Times, Malazzi confirmed he used his ministerial discretion to withdraw the bill, citing his discomfort with it. He said it's totally flawed. But Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies, Kusela Diko, noted the decision with grave concern. She said the decision by the minister would be highly ill-advised, and there's no exaggeration to say it would be the death knell for South African Broadcasting Corporation. Noting her committee had been working to fast-track the bill's finalization. Now, who is Kusela Diko? She is a disciplined ANC member who's been brought up on allegations in the past. And why would she defend this bill? Well, because the ANC uses SABC as its personal propaganda wing, and she doesn't want to see it disappear. Hey, G. Sawyer, you just showing up? Coyer is welcome to Coyer's opinion, folks. All right. South Africa missed bonus. Now, here, so for LMC, if you're still here, and anybody who hasn't gone to Ronaldo's channel, which is probably people don't need to hear this, but let me just share this. So I do news and I do analysis. Sometimes I just report the news. Sometimes I report the news and analysis. Sometimes I simply offer analysis of events. The Mark Lifman situation, when I first reported, was news. It was a breaking story. I was one of the first people to report it. That's a fact, LMC. If that gives you heartburn, take some antacids. I reported it within an hour of becoming public information and discussed it. Then I analyzed it in subsequent videos for which I've been attacked, and people can, watch something else. Here's a perfect example of what I do as an analyst before the public is aware of something, or before it becomes a big issue, or before. So a lot of South Africans, including viewers of my program, are like, oh, hey, South Africa is strategically important because the shipping channels, everyone needs around the Cape of Good Hope. South Africa has strategic importance. Only it doesn't. You don't have a Navy that can patrol those sea lanes. The South African Navy is bereft of operational capability. It can do virtually nothing. I actually saw one of the German corvettes go out to sea when I was in Durban. I filmed it when I was down there. I watched them. They went out. They spent an hour out there and they came back. Do you know why they went out to sea for an hour? Not for operational readiness, so that the sailors would get sea pay. You don't get sea pay in port. You get sea pay when you go to sea. Anyway. South Africa's Navy cannot patrol the sea lanes. South Africa has no benefit from sea lanes. As I have said and told people for months, if not for a year and a half now, I have said South Africa will not profit. And it goes back to when the Suez Canal was shut down because that ship hit the side. Remember that? And they got it up in less than a month. But I told people South Africa will not profit from this. Why? Your ports are terrible. Your ports are inept. There's no reason to stop in South Africa's ports where people have to wait for days on end to get in and only deal with inefficient, corrupt officials in Transnet. So there's no benefit. Well, here's an analysis from Erica Gibson in the Financial Mail in which she now says a full year and a half after I told you the same things, exactly what I said. That's why I say what I say. That's why I do what I do. And that is, in fact, news when I predicted ahead of time. So here you go. So for LMC and the chest pain crowd out there, this is why I do what I do, and it adds value. And that's why I have an audience, and it hurts your feelings that I have an audience. South Africa's missed bonus of ships diverted from Red Sea. The country has no cohesive strategy for its coastline, is unable to benefit from the huge increase in the number of vessels that now pass through its waters. Exactly as I said and predicted. Shipping along South Africa's coast has increased by 85% according to maritime sources because of intensified attacks in the Horn of Africa and piracy. Around the choke point of the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Yet the country has still not developed a maritime security strategy to safeguard vessels and its own interest. While South African ports have capacity, they are operating at just 65%, measured by space and equipment. Only 1% of the global ship repair market is in this country, and only 4 of 80 oil rigs in the area have been serviced locally. So they can't refuel ships, they can't repair ships, they can't process them at port. How is South Africa strategic important? The ANC has allowed you to fall to a useless level. You have no value whatsoever to global shipping, which is a shame. If I was on a cargo ship coming from China and I needed to take a break, I'd love to stop in Cape Town. But your shitty port doesn't accommodate me, and False Bay can't handle ships my size. So there you go. Durban should be the stop destination. Hey, we're on a cargo ship coming from China. Let's stop in Durban. We'll refuel there. We'll do repairs. We'll get more supplies. We'll eat some Indian food. We'll have a good time. Only we got robbed when we left the port and there's no fuel because then no fuel platforms. Oh my goodness. Wow. South Africa lags many West African nations that have recognized the economic potential of maritime plan of action and dangers posed by shipping in their territorial waters. This winter, South Africa sea rescue personnel had their hands full dealing with oil spills and ships in distress. The weather along the Wild Coast especially wreaked havoc. It hampered efforts to clean oil spills like the one detected after the MSC Apollo anchored in Algoa Bay before docking in Kotka in September. Various other cargo ships were affected. In August, the MSC Altona lost 46 containers and damaged another 305 off East London. Earlier that month, the Daphne Balaam lost 99 containers off Richards Bay. And in July, the Benjamin Franklin... What the hell is going on? I mean, there's the entire... they're worried about seismic testing off the East Coast, off the Garden Route. I mean, ships are dumping thousands of containers full of goods into the water, and they're worried about seismic testing. The Ultra Galaxy ran aground about 300 kilometers north of Cape Town in July, caused the ship to break into 4 sections and led to another oil spill. South African Maritime Safety Authority and Department of Transport's Maritime Rescue Coordination Center have been dealing with increased traffic emergencies. The Navy, which needs to protect the coastline of 3,000 kilometers as well as merchant shipping in terms of Merchant Shipping Act of 1951, has long ago lost its blue water open ocean capacity. Most of its vessels lie in harbors awaiting repairs. The Air Force recently retired its aged fleet of C-47 Dakota Maritime patrol aircraft, and there's no realistic prospect of obtaining replacements. The Navy says it carries out its maritime mandate together with other government departments on a monthly basis. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It does not. That is exactly what I've been saying about South Africa. And I've been saying it for a year and a half, if not more. And what happens? I get hate wankers. Who are you? What do you know? What do you know? Oh, who are you? Typical American. Don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you call yourself a linguist. Call yourself a polyglot. Fuck off. Mark Lifman's death certificate has been handed over in court in that murder trial for Brian Weinstein. There's Brian Weinstein in 2016 entering a Greenpoint shop. Slain alleged underworld boss Mark Lifman may no longer be alive to stand trial for the murder of steroid kingpin Brian Weinstein, but he remains the prime suspect. This transpired during the appearance of his co-accused in the High Court in Cape Town today. A copy of the 56-year-old's death certificate was handed to the court. It says he was never married. His absence was conspicuous. The spot he previously occupied in the docket left vacant. His co-accused, Jerome Donkey Boyson and Andre Nadia, were present. Makazole Mapimpi had a brace of tries in the Springboks' disappointing victory at Murray Field. A scrappy contest. Makazole Mapimpi scored 2 tries as the World Cup champions returned to the top of the rankings with a 32-15 win over Scotland at Murray Field. And speaking of that win, let's take a look at World Rugby rankings now. They should be out. It's a Monday. That's when they come out. All right, all changed in men's rugby rankings. Okay, here we go. So, all right, let's take a look at the rankings. More rankings, come on. Full rankings. Show the full table. Here we go. All right, let's see what happened in the World Rugby rankings. South Africa is now number 1 over New Zealand by 1.5 points. New Zealand moves from 3 to 2. France falls from number 1, or Ireland falls from number 1 to number 3. France remains at number 4. Argentina goes from number 6 to number 5. Scotland goes from number 7 to number 6. Despite losing, Scotland gains ground. England drops from number 5 to number 7. Australia goes from 9 to 8. Fiji goes from 10 to 9. Italy goes from 8 to 10. And then the USA goes from 19 to 16 in rankings because they beat Portugal. That's brilliant. They're right on Portugal's heels now. Good job by the Eagles. Spain goes up 1 spot. Tonga and Uruguay drop. And that's the biggest change there. Wow. Some changing in the World Rugby rankings. The women, of course, not in action, so no changes on that side. Wow. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. So South Africa, once again, the number 1 team in the world. It's about time. All right. So a few people leaving, a few people coming. All right. Thank you for those who are staying. Those who are leaving, you're missing out. We've had a hell of a stream so far today, covering so much ground on Veterans Day. All right. Back to South Africa. So we did the Mark Lifman, Makazole Mapimpi. Moving on to Namibia. Wow. In Namibia, folks, according to the Independent Online, the video recently got viral. Tensions among Namibia's opposition coalition have taken center stage as supporters of the popular democratic movement voiced frustrations against independent patriots for change and their leadership. A contentious rally where PDM supporters demand accountability and denounce their handling of the issues in Windhoek, where political blame shifting and strained alliances. Well, that's good for SWAPO, but it's not going to keep them in power. Botswana's new vice president is also the finance minister, according to the new president. Also, let me address something very quickly about Botswana. Someone I know, and I have a great deal of confidence and confidence in and respect for, sent me a message asking me where the American military base is in Botswana. I was shocked to hear this. Now, this person has ties to Botswana's government, but lives in South Africa. So I was a bit surprised to get that message. I have gotten the message from a few South Africans whom I know, who are viewers, who asked me privately about the military bases or anything to it. Let me just state this very clear. I lived and worked in Botswana. I was the senior U.S. military officer in Botswana, the ambassador's advisor on defense and security issues. There are no American military bases in Botswana, unless they were built in the last 90 days. They do not exist. This is a fairy tale. Apparently, supposedly, in a conversation with Julius Malema, the new president claimed that he was going to kick the Americans off their base. Well, there may be Americans in Botswana doing traveling contact teams and military security cooperation. That's a normal passage of events. We do in Botswana. When I was there, we do 15 to 25 of these events per year. So that's quite a few, more than one a month. That was tapered down to about 8 to 10 per year after I left. But the reason it was high is because they asked for the events. We did them. There are other American military events take place there. We held an HIV conference for all African militaries when I was there. But there's no base. That's a lie. That's a fairy tale. It's interesting how the people making the allegation, making the claim, cannot tell us where this base is at. In the past, the fantasy of the left pleasuring themselves for decades has been that Tebe Patswa, the Botswana Air Arms Base located southwest of Gaborone, about an hour away, was the American base. It's not an American base. To my knowledge, we provided funding to help them build that base back in the 1980s or 1990s, but it's not our base. We have no rights to it. We have no special privileges. In order to do things in a country, we have to have a status of forces agreement. We do not have a status of forces agreement with Botswana unless one's been negotiated in the past few months that's been held secret. We also have an acquisition and cross-servicing agreement. We do have one of those, I believe, with Botswana, which means that if we land an aircraft there and you provide fuel free of charge, then we'll provide rations or we'll provide ammunition or we'll provide something in kind. That's what an acquisition and cross-servicing agreement is. It's not a basing rights. That takes a treaty agreement. We have no such treaty agreement with Botswana. We have no such permission to have a base there. We have no base there. This is pure fantasy by the left. I dare them to show me where the base is. And they won't. They won't, because they can't. Now, what will happen is that somebody will take a photograph of U.S. military in uniform in Botswana next to someone on a Botswana base and go, ah, see, they're there. That's not a base. That's not a base. Botswana will go sideways, Green Phantom. The Botswana Democratic Party was a stable, center-right conservative party that led Botswana to great prosperity and success. However, the departure of Ian Khama and the promotion, his biggest mistake in life was promoting Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi. This brought in a regime of corruption and dishonesty and criminal activity. And it undermined the liberty, the freedom, the prosperity of the Botswana. And now the country is in the shitter. Nobody wants diamonds. Nobody's buying diamonds except the Chinese, and they don't have any money right now. So diamond sales are flat and declining. On top of that, they have failed to diversify the economy 6 decades after they gained sovereignty. Not independence, but sovereignty. They had independence all along. Botswana was never a colony. Bechuanaland was a protectorate. The British agreed to the request from the Dikosi, the chiefs, to protect them from the Boers by declaring a protectorate and managing their foreign affairs. But they were left to local governance. It was never a colony. What they gained in 1966 was their sovereignty and statehood. Yep. The latest is the B-52 can land there. B-52 can land at Tebe Patswa. Probably. I'd have to check the measurements of the airfield. I'm not aware of a B-52 ever being there. I believe C-130 has landed there, and maybe C-17. I'm not C-130, probably, or C-141. I'm not even sure C-17's ever landed there. The latest, without America, Botswana fails. I don't know about that. So, that's incorrect. I work in Cape Town Harbor. It's more like 30%. What's 30%? Oh, instead of 65%. Southern Reports could be a gold mine. However, the ANC only put hands. Exactly. It could be a gold mine. Too busy paying themselves huge bonus instead of grabbing wonderful opportunities. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but the new vice president deputy president is the finance minister, their vice president. Mauritius had an election over the weekend, and it looks like the ruling party is going to lose. Mauritius prime minister says the party is headed for defeat in Sunday's vote. Mauritius' incumbent prime minister Pravind Jugnauth said today that his political alliance was headed for a huge defeat following Sunday's parliamentary election. L'Alliance Le Peuple is headed towards a huge defeat. I've tried to do what I can for the country and the population. The population decided to choose another team. I wish good luck to the country, he said. Wow, voters went to the polls to elect lawmakers for the 62 seats in parliament for the next 5 years. 68 parties and 5 political alliances. There you go. So we're waiting for the results in Mauritius. They should be done here momentarily, and we'll see what happens. But the ruling party is out in America. The ruling party is out in Botswana. The ruling party is sort of out, not quite, in South Africa. The ruling party is out in Mauritius, if that's true. And then the ruling party will be out in Namibia in a few weeks. Wow. Crazy year. Kenya's Raila Odinga, the 79-year-old former leader of the country, wants to lead the African Union Commission. He's put his name forward. Veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga has stood for president 5 times and failed to win. Now the 79-year opposition leader and former prime minister has turned his sights on the top job in the African Union. However, he faces strong competition from competitors from Djibouti, Mauritius, and Madagascar. He has won the vote. He formally launched his candidature, presenting himself as a complete package needed to tackle Africa's conflicts and economy. And he got backing from the current president of Kenya. Africa has other friends if Trump won't work with it. Well, not being combative, but he was answering a question. He said, I don't want to prejudge Trump, in an interview with the French press agency in Addis. If he wants to work with Africa as a friend, we'll welcome him and work with him. If he does not want to work with Africa, Africa has got other friends. The continent has 1.5 billion people and has often competed over for influence by the West, as well as China, Russia, and Turkey. Well, that's a true statement, so that was not combative. Some people are going to paint that as if he's being combative, but he's not. Somalia says that Ethiopia is not part of the new AU mission. A senior Somali official insisted over the weekend that Ethiopia will not participate in the new African Union Peacekeeping Mission that starts January. After AMISOM went away in 2022, it was renamed ATMIS. ATMIS is going away now, and starting in January 2025, a new African Union support mission in Somalia known as OSOM will replace this. According to United Nations, ATMIS has been drawing down to from 20,000 to less than 13,000 troops. The new mission is expected to number 12,000. So couldn't get it done with 30,000, couldn't get it done with 20,000, couldn't get it done with 13,000. So we're going to go to 12,000. 17 Chadian soldiers and 96 rebels killed in a Boko Haram attack, which I mentioned over the weekend, now have confirmation coming in from the government of Chad. Boko Haram insurgents killed 17 Chadian soldiers in a weekend attack that left 96 of the assailants dead in the country's west. The attack in the Lake Chad region happened on Saturday. Well, but we don't need the West. We don't need France. We don't need the U.S. Yeah, okay. Keep it up, boys. See how well it goes for you. Former president of Ghana, Mahama, is projected to unseat the ruling party in a December election in another big throw-the-bums-out election, this one in Africa. John Dramani Mahama is the front runner in the 7 December election, according to opinion polls, leading 52-41 against his opponent, Mohamedou Bawomoya, an unusual name in a almost non-Muslim country. Only a handful of Muslims live there. The former president, 65, and the current vice president are the two main contenders for this election. Wow. Ghana is the world's second largest cocoa producer after Cote d'Ivoire, defaulted on most of its external debt back in 2022. $30 billion in foreign debt. That's a big one. An Australian gold company says that its CEO has been arrested along with 2 executives in Mali. The CEO and 2 executives of Australian gold mine Resolute in Mali have been arrested while in Bamako to discuss ongoing disputes with authorities. CEO Terence Holohan and his 2 colleagues were in Bamako to discuss the mining and tax authorities of the company's business practices generally and to make progress on ongoing claims against Resolute, which continues to claim they are unfounded. Unexpectedly, 3 employees were arrested at the end of these meetings on Friday. Wow. Interesting. 4 employees of the Canadian company Barrick Gold, also in dispute, were detained for several days at the end of September. Resolute is working to reach an agreement with the Malian government. Well, that's a military dictatorship. You're not going to get much of an agreement with those clowns. Israeli media confirms that Netanyahu personally ordered the pager attack on Hezbollah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu approved an audacious plan to employ booby-trapped pagers in September against members of the Iran-backed Hezbollah terror group in Lebanon. The statement marked the first official confirmation that Israel was behind the attack. Of course, we knew they were behind the attack. We just had no evidence of it. Now the government admits to it. So, will Joe Biden's government admit to blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline? Probably not until we file charges against Joe Biden. Saudi Arabia has a big conference going on. They're demanding immediate end to the conflict in Gaza and Lebanon. Saudi's Crown Prince condemns the massacre committed against Palestinian and Lebanese people at the Arab Islamic Summit. Well, did the Saudi prince condemn the massacre of Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, and innocents on October 7th, 2023? I don't recall that being the case. So until you condemn that, we really don't give a crap what you've got to say. 4 people held after the anti-Semitic attacks on Jews in Amsterdam. Prime Minister Dick Schoof canceled a trip to the UN climate talks after this violence. Amsterdam police are holding 4 people suspected of committing open violence. There were a lot more than 4 people that beat these Jews in the streets. The Dutch Prime Minister, meanwhile, canceled a trip to the UN climate summit. Authorities have not released the identities of the 4 suspects. They were described as 2 minors suspected of open violence and an adult suspected of open violence against police officers. Wow. 62 people have been arrested. Okay, so there we go. There you go. Why does the Netherlands let Islamic radicals and Jewish radicals live in their country? Former NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg urges Europe to work with Trump to end the Ukraine war. This is ironic as Jens Stoltenberg and Joe Biden fueled the Ukraine war for 3 years. For 3 years, they have fueled a conflict, nearly 3 years, in Ukraine, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Russians and Ukrainians, the absolute destruction of eastern Ukraine. Why is Jens Stoltenberg suddenly talking about peace? This warmongering Jens Stoltenberg urges Europe to boost defense spending and strengthen ties. Well, that's not how you end the war. Former NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg urged European leaders to step up their defense spending commitments. Well, that's what Trump told them to do. He led the organization for a decade from 2014 to 2024 and led it into ruin and hypocrisy. Jens Stoltenberg. Piss off. Europe is bracing for a swift and brutal transition to the Trump world, according to experts telling Al Jazeera. Trump has been very clear that Europeans need to ramp up their defense spending even further. He wants a 3% of GDP pledge, and we can expect him to push this hard, said Anna Wieslander, director of Northern Europe at the Atlantic Council. Now, NATO members pledged to increase defense spending 2% after Russia invaded Crimea a decade ago, but they still haven't done it. Trump wants more. Well, he should want more. Haiti's government is illegitimate, folks. The prime minister's been ousted in a transition. A council tasked with restoring order to the nation said it would replace Prime Minister Gary Connell with businessman Elie Didier Fizem. Wow. So, there's no democratically elected officials in Haiti. Its presidency has been vacant since the still unresolved assassination of Jovenel Moise in 2021. Elections have not been held since 2016, and the country's National Assembly has been empty since the last senator's terms expired in early 2023. Haiti is not a country. It is illegitimate. So send all these Haitians from Springfield and elsewhere back to Haiti to form a government. Republicans inch towards the trifecta here in the United States as they now have 214 seats in the House. This is out of date. It still says 213 here. The presidency, 312 electoral votes. The Senate, 53 seats. And the House, 214 of the 218. Getting close. Getting close. Democrats are election deniers, ladies and gentlemen, as they spent years calling Donald Trump and the Republicans election deniers. Mark Elias, the scumbag attorney who represents Democrats time and again, is interfering in Pennsylvania's elections. Associated Press and most other media have called the Senate race in Pennsylvania for Republican Dave McCormick. But never fear, Democratic lawyer Mark Elias is on the case trying to steal the seat for incumbent Bob Casey. Did someone say election denial? Yeah, it is election denial. Casey has refused to concede the race despite trailing by 40,000 votes, a number that has increased in the past few days. As of midday on Sunday, there were still 87,000 provisional ballots to count. Yep. So he cannot overcome the lead. About 30,000 provisional ballots are outstanding in Philadelphia and Allegheny County. Both are Casey's strongholds, but he's only won. McCormick has done better in the provisional ballots, getting 54 to 46%. In the provisional ballots, McCormick has increased his lead because he only has a half percentage lead, but he has a 8% lead in provisional ballots. So it seems highly unlikely, if not impossible. But there might be an automatic recall because the margin could fall below 0.5%, which calls an automatic recall. But there's no way that he wins. So election denial. Chuck Schumer also in election denial mode here, saying that he will not concede the Senate seat in Pennsylvania because 100,000 ballots are yet to be counted. That's not true. It was 87,000 midday yesterday, and the number is significantly smaller today. So let's go to the New York Times website, okay? Instead of the Washington Post, we'll go to the New York Times, All right, we're going to go to the New York Times and look and see what the vote total is. Okay, New York Times, it'll take me a moment to get to the election. 24 elections. Okay, analysis. Where's it at here? Now I can't even find it. Wow. Will this get me there? No, they've taken away the board. Huh, I can't even find the board there. Trump wins Arizona. Here we go. Track the House, Senate. Okay, so in Pennsylvania, they have a half percentage point, 0.6. So right now that wouldn't trigger an automatic recount. So McCormick has a 39,000 vote lead in that race the last time they did it. Okay, let's go to Google and see what Google has for the election. Okay, in Pennsylvania, they've got 99% reporting, and they've got McCormick with 369. It's the same number. There's no difference from that. So McCormick is won heavily all over the state, except for the big cities, of course. And there he's closed the gap significantly. Okay, so he flipped the seat, 3.6 million. Okay, but the Democrats deny this. So Schumer denies it. Joe Biden will continue to try to fund his proxy war in Ukraine for his corrupt legacy for the next 2 months before leaving office, according to advisor. Our approach remains the same as it's been for the last 2.5 years, says Jake Sullivan. Disaster, says Chris Wyatt. 71 days ago, before he leaves office, Joe Biden will continue to push for more military aid for Ukraine in his conflict with Russia. Wow. Well, that's just stupid. We've got, well, depending on the estimate, $171 to $250 billion given. Donald Trump has selected Tom Homan as his border czar. Yep. He'll tap him to run the deportation agency, the first Trump administration. Wow. This isn't a Trump administration. Oh, he ran it in the first Trump administration. Sorry. Announced on social media yesterday, he'd become one of the fiercest critics of the Biden administration. I've known Tom for a long time, and there's nobody better at policing and controlling our borders. So Tom Homan will be in as the border czar, replacing Kamala Harris. You want to bet that Tom Homan is more successful than Kamala Harris at controlling our border? Elise Stefanik has been offered the insignificant, irrelevant United Nations ambassador post. Representative from New York, one of the first cabinet-level personnel decisions, the president-elect has chosen a Republican member of Congress from New York to represent the United States at the United Nations. She represents an upstate New York district in the House as a member of the Republican leadership in the chamber. She's accepted the offer and will become our ambassador to the United Nations. Well, good luck with that. The stock market has reacted to Donald Trump's victory, and Bitcoin is hitting record highs, and the stock market is also soaring. Tesla and Trump media stocks rally as Trump continues to make solid announcements for his cabinet. Apparently, Trump talked to Putin in a telephone call. Will the Democrats claim this is illegal now and try to impeach him for doing his job? President-elect Donald Trump spoke to Russian leader Vladimir Putin on Thursday and discussed the war in Ukraine. However, the Kremlin has denied that they had a conversation. Oh my goodness. The Kremlin denied today that President-elect Donald Trump spoke to Vladimir Putin last week, saying there are no specific plans for two leaders to communicate yet. Okay. That's interesting. So the media are fond of propaganda. Let me show you an example. I was in San Francisco. It's been a few years now, 2018 for the Rugby World Cup. I've told people many, many times and how I was there. I watched rusty, dented, paint-chipped police cruisers, morbidly obese police officers with uniforms where the buttons were so tight that they were popping on their shirts hanging out of their tails. No discipline, no respect in the police that I saw. I saw hypodermic needles laying everywhere on the streets downtown in an upscale neighborhood. I saw human feces. I saw humans dropping their trousers and defecating on the streets of San Francisco near upscale stores. I saw stores boarded up. I saw all kinds of rubbish laying on the streets. I saw prostitutes outside my hotel, toothless prostitutes. Yet the New York Times runs a story about travel promoting the shit of San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco does have lovely spots, but not downtown. So, 36 hours, San Francisco. And this, of course, this picture is taken from the Presidio, which was a Spanish and then American military base for 4 centuries before we foolishly turned into the Golden Gate Recreation Park. So that's a Golden Gate Recreation Park. Now, the only reason it's nice is because the military maintained it for 2 centuries. Built on a gold rush, San Francisco is an outsized place in the popular imagination. A small, glittering city at the edge of the Pacific, this micro-metropolis of 800,000 has always been a vanguard, a place where culture and industry happen first and growth happens furiously. In recent years, the city's taken a reputation for its post-pandemic challenges, but San Francisco is as beautiful as ever, developing more enticing public parks and green spaces. Horse manure. It is a feces-laden criminal paradise of leftist lunacy. Absolutely. Also, Ronaldo is, was he on? He just went off. He sent folks over here. That was nice of Ronaldo. Wow, we just jumped 7 people. Thanks for the 7 people coming over for Ronaldo. Appreciate that. Ronaldo, did you come back? I'm still on because I never got to the news. We're trying to get through the news here. So we're almost there. So the leftist media, this is propaganda. So this is an article in the New York Times. Will Trump rekindle a bromance with Kim Jong-un? South Koreans worry. Trump's second term brings uncertainty to the Korean Peninsula as nuclear tensions run high. This story from Cho Sung-hun, a reporter from Seoul. During his 2024 election campaign, he described the United States alliance with South Korea as a terrible bargain for his country, accusing the Asian ally of not paying enough for the 28,000 American troops stationed on soil. But when he mentioned Kim Jong-un, who threatened to use nuclear weapons, he talks to Mr. Kim, we're a long-lost friend. Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Cho Sang-hun, you obviously don't get the art of the deal. Kim Jong-un needed his ego stroked. Trump stroked his ego, and he stopped firing intercontinental ballistic missiles. Stopped. Full stop. Like that. Trump left within weeks, within days. They were doing it again, threatening the airspace of Japan and others in the region and threatening South Korea's security with provocations, firing artillery rounds into South Korean territory and causing all kinds of military and diplomatic provocations. None of that happened while Trump was president. And meanwhile, we stuck by our alliance with South Korea. We never left. We still have 28,000 troops there. It's a larger number of troops, almost larger than we have in Germany these days. So stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. Finally down news, going over 2 hours over almost. Suppose I will start my stream at 10 p.m. and pray you're not live streaming yet. Well, Ronaldo, people, thank you for the audience coming over for Ronaldo. People asked me questions. We had some trolling going on. We had to deal with that. You were here earlier. And then we had the SpaceX launch. I didn't plan on SpaceX. That added 20 minutes to the show. Ronaldo sent us, how can you be so rude to my boy? Where was I rude, Ronaldo? Was that set up? Did you guys set that up ahead of time? I wasn't rude. I just thanked people for coming over. I wasn't rude to Ronaldo. This guy took his RV, recreational vehicle, and took the toll road in Virginia and got hit with a 569 Rand, $12,000 Rand toll. It's a maximum cost in tolls on the outside beltway. That's what he took, an RV. Wow, it's a 1997 RV, and he had to pay $569 in tolls. He worried about traffic on their trip through Virginia, so he took the express lane. And it usually costs $20 or $30 each way, and he thought it'd be worth it. He and his family went in 2 different vehicles, so he thought he'd have to pay $40 or $60. A week later, he saw his credit card charged for $105 on Easy Pass, and then 3 hours later, $105 more. He said, what's going on? He wound up paying $569 in tolls for an RV to go down the road. What a crock of horse shit. That's a ripoff, man. That is a ripoff. Listen to Ronaldo. Yes, Linda. A $1 billion disaster. Well, since Ronaldo and his audience are concerned that I'm spending too much time online, I won't spend the time that I intended to talk about this failure of the Biden-Harris regime, the Harris campaign. That's still cold. I opened it when I started the show. Vice President Kamala Harris luring of celebrities out of their mansions to perform songs for middle-class voters struggling to afford groceries and rent was symbolic of an attitude that ultimately doomed her $1 billion campaign. She rolled out Taylor Swift and all these people to talk about the decline of democracy, but she didn't address the number one issue, which was inflation, which is what did her in. It's not clear that these endorsements had any impact, say strategists, as an out-of-touch, elitist, dismissive of voters is how she came across. Donald Trump says Liz Cheney's involvement in the campaign was a big mistake for Democrats, and he's right. We hate Liz Cheney. Everyone hates Liz Cheney, who's in the Republican fold. It was a bad decision. And there's the news. All right. If it's still cold, then you need to send that technology to South Africa. You started the stream 4 days ago. Linda, who's being rude to who? Who's being rude to who? I know you're joking, Linda. Oh, look, Ronaldo, you missed it. I talked about the George deputy mayor from the Democratic Alliance who's accused of sexting a minor. The DA completed an investigation on this deputy mayor in February for this supposed offense, and they didn't dismiss him. But he's suspended from activities. So why is a deputy mayor of George for the Democratic Alliance suspended from party events and party activities from February until now if he's not guilty? The DA, in their defense, came out and said the investigation was inconclusive. The good party's raising the issue again. They're asking for him to be kicked out of the deputy mayor position. So my question is this. Why is the DA so opaque when it comes to cases of pedophilia being talked about? Pedos. Why are they quiet on that? Now, I'm not saying the guy's guilty. I don't know if he's guilty. And it's unfortunate that this is out in the press. But the problem is that the DA has been opaque with their investigations. You said something you shouldn't have said because you should know South Africa's climate, but you were young. 14 years ago, in a video in which you fully explained, look, I'm going to say the following and you're going to see how you feel about it. Now, what do you think about that? Isn't that wrong for people to say that stuff? That was altered and edited by someone and then fraudulently presented by the toilet paper of record, the Independent Online, to smear you, to tarnish you, to tramp on your reputation. And people all over the country are dumb enough to have believed it because their first instinct in South Africa, for many South Africans, is to believe that anybody who's white is a racist just because it fulfills their own worldview. When virtually no white people in South Africa are racist, only a handful. And most black South Africans are not racist either, or coloreds. But there's a lot of dumb people in South Africa, and the Ronaldo Gos case proves that. The anger, the vitriol, all the nonsense that was built up in hatred of Ronaldo Gos. Yet this guy is accused of sexting minors. Now, he may not have done that. But the DA, complete investigation in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 10 months ago, and he's still suspended. He's not kicked out of the party. Why is that? Why is that? Why is the DA so opaque and not transparent on this investigation? You were accused of saying something, not of committing a heinous crime. This gentleman has been accused of a heinous crime. She's a relative of his, and he used it against her because she was seeing someone he didn't like. Okay. All right. There you go. Don't be accused of racism. Right. Exactly. You can say whatever you want. Yeah. So my point is that if he's innocent, why didn't the DA make this a public statement and put a press release out and make a big deal about it in February? The party is hypocritical. That's my point. Yeah, he denied it and then lied. So why isn't he kicked out? You didn't lie. You were accused of lying because people misrepresented what you said based on your statements. Now, I don't know what you told Helen Zille in private. I know what she told us you said. Anyway, Charles, the DA, the DA. People are going to ban the DA in droves. More sheep in South Africa than New Zealand, judging by the latest elections. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Oh, the rape convicted guy is Donson over in Kanaland. In Kanaland. Yep, today was the day I lost all respect for the DA. There you go, Ronaldo. There you go. And that's not bitter. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just state it unequivocally. If you're honest and you watch Ronaldo's program, you know that he's sort of defended the DA even after he got kicked out. He said he still liked the DA. He respected them. He did great things. He's not said any unkind words for the DA. I've not heard him have any unkind words for the DA since then. And that's his prerogative. But today he lost all faith in them. Okay, I get it. But you also, you know the risk of what you said. Let's be real, Savage. It's not like whites, and the DA is trying to avoid being involved. Correct, PK. That's exactly right. And that's why they don't deserve your vote. They don't deserve your trust. They're cowards. They're cowards. They should have stood up for what's right. Yes, they score own political goals. They've been doing it for a long time. Let's look back at the municipal campaign in KZN. Someone put out in, was it in Phoenix? They put out signs that the ANC claimed were racist about how communities were attacked. Remember that? And then what did they do? The party withdrew the posters. Well, why did you put the posters up in the first place, you cowards? The DA is not worried about losing minority voters. Well, they may not be worried about it, Charmaine. They're going to. They're going to. Yep. Garrett says Ronaldo finally wakes up. Listen, folks. Look, I'm not trying to tramp all over the DA, but this is hypocritical. And I would have much greater concern about someone accused of sexting a minor than I do about someone using the K word. Yes, I'm not a South African, so you can attack me for that. But in America, someone using the N-word, I'm not going to destroy their political lives. I'm not going to associate with them. I'm not going to hang out with them. They're not going to be friends with me. But I'm not going to destroy their lives because words, sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, words do hurt people, but you get my point. You get my point. DA thinks they're going to do well. No, they're in for a very rude awakening. Yes, Ronaldo, it was hyperbole. That was my point. I'm the one that said that. I mean, that's probably what you said 14 years ago. But when I saw the video the first time, I said what you said was hyperbole. That was my analysis of it. Yes, I know you detest the word and its meaning. Yeah, well, it's not the word's meaning. I detest the appropriation of the meaning. It's an Arabic word, which means unbeliever. And it has different spellings and different pronunciations. Much like the word, just like the appropriation of the swastika, the Hakenkreuz by the Nazis, they ruined a perfectly good fertility symbol and symbol of success in Denmark and in India. People use that symbol. It's been ruined forever, tainted by the Nazis. Just like the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, a proud organization that wasn't in support of slavery, but in defense of their own country, which they declared. I'm not in support of them, I'm just saying that's who they were. The battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, the stars and bars, was appropriated, and people think it's a Confederate flag. It's not. It's been forever tainted by that association with a group it has nothing to do with. So, yeah. Colors leaving DA in droves already in for Connors. PA will not grow, says Arctic. Not if I have anything to do with it, Arctic. What did Arctic say? Yes, Charles, I know what it means. I'm just not saying. But South Africans have such fragile egos that words harm people. This is a way of destroying minorities. Now, I understand the context, but white people have been called horrible things too, and there's no sanctions against that. Lauren says, I still like that you can't fix stupid sign, but you can't. Wrote it out. We should use it here in South. Yeah, that's an awesome sign. I bought that sign, by the way. It wasn't free. I had to buy it. I bought it at a Republican Party event months ago before I ran for office. And after I ran for office and saw the behavior of the Republican Party, I no longer attend those meetings. They're on their own. And a cocktail in Australia with the K word, but it's a type of lime. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Earned a sub, says the Burn ZA. Well, thank you for that, the Burn ZA. Stick around. I'll probably earn your subscriber status many, many more times. Many, many more times. 150 likes, got a little bit of super chat revenue, and somebody, I think it was Erica, gave 5 memberships. So anyway, hey, Ronaldo, this whole, not to open a can of worms, but I did see the video. You sent me the link to Scott Balson's video that he's alive. We have proof of life. Scott Balson in that video mentioned Kamala Harris losing. So, hey, unless someone's really good at AI, Scotty's alive. Well, congratulations. That's good to hear for him. But he chose the occasion to dig up when you punked him years ago. He is still bum ass burned about how you punked him with that story. Good night, Linda. Have a good night. Take care. Are you out on the farm? Don't answer that question. It's a safety question. Don't answer it. Anyway, so he's still bum hurt. Something deep inside me tells me he went offline for so long to get back. I don't know about that. But I know you're joking. But I don't know where Byron got his information from, but he got punked. Byron, you notice my response was, well, that's news to me. I didn't know that. I had no idea that the guy was dead. If he's dead, I wish him well. But yeah, anyway, but he chose to mention me again, called me an e-beggar. So he called me an e-beggar. I just love it. I love it. The tens of thousands of dollars I've spent on South Africa. So there you go. I'm going to e-beg right now. Go to my PayPal account, which I'm not logged into in ages, and see if anybody gave money. What's that? That's not PayPal. What the hell website is that? There we go. I left a comment on that stream. I basically said that he should send you all thank you because he brought him out of the shot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people didn't know he's alive. We let him know he's alive, so he should thank us. Was OnlyFans. Send me, continue. What's this? Oh, I don't need the app. I've got the app. All right. Did I get any chats? Yeah. November 2nd, I got 50 cents from a couple people. Thank you for that. And what is this? Oh, I donated some money. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, I gave money to Ronaldo twice here. Didn't realize that for his legal case. By the way, Ronaldo, is that still going on? But nobody's giving me any money. I haven't gotten any money. So that e-begging clearly doesn't work. There's the e-begging right there. E-begging. Yeah, anyway. So the DA is figuring out what to do with their GNU money. Forgot that they got votes for standing up. Yeah. Yeah, they will be reminded at the polls that they're supposed to stand up against national health insurance and against the Bulla bill. Ronaldo, wow. An unemployed former MP just gave 7 rand. Thank you. Yeah, I saw the clown mask, Garrett. That was pretty funny. So, yeah, look, I mean, the guy really is an obsession. You know, it's a shame. And I'm talking about it because it's newsworthy, because he made the video. Charmaine says, I work for my hubby and he's looking for work. Oh, well, that sucks. Not forgotten, Colonel. I have to visit the bank this week, says bystander. Guys, look, on a more serious note, yes, it's true. I have not come back to South Africa mostly because it's a financial reason. I mean, I'm not broke, but I mean, I have to make sound decisions about my future and about, you know, my prepper, my war stock of ammunition, weapons, gold bullion, coins, food. I have to have all that stock, you know, for the coming deluge. But now that Trump has won, I don't have to hold on to some of that coin. Maybe I can actually come back to South Africa if people want me. I don't know. Let's do a poll. If LMC's here. So let's do a poll. Should Chris? Okay. There you go. Submitted the final affidavit today. Case still ongoing. It seems racism 24 is excused from EFF and former public pro here, but they super keen on racism 14 years ago. Yep. Agreed. We need you to cover the 2027 Rugby World Cup. Yeah, that's in Australia. So I plan on covering the 2027 World Cup in Australia, but that's going to be a rough one because it's a big-ass country. So I'm sure there'll be games in Perth. There'll be games all in the Gold Coast and the Southeast. That'll be easier, but I've never been to Australia except for the airport. I think I need to make a trip to Australia in advance of that, so I get some familiarity with the country before I make that trip. I mean, for the World Cup in England 2015, I know England like the back of my hand. I know France like the back of my hand. New Zealand is easy to figure out. I don't have to know it like the back of my hand. Those are the World Cups I've been to. I know Ireland like the back of my hand. I've been to World Cup there. San Francisco, easy. But I don't know Australia. I mean, I know what I read and see and watch, but I've never been. So I think I need to do a recon trip ahead of time. So UK with a South African. What's this? Yeah, Ronaldo gave me 7 rand. What's this Garrett talking about? He sells his hair for braids or wiggles. So how many votes have we gotten? We got 40 votes, and I got 8% said no. Wow, 8%. So 8%, that's 4 people. Wow, there are a lot of spies watching the program. 4. I didn't know that. That's crazy. 4. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. Very impressed that there are 4 people here that don't want me to come to South Africa. Shall I oblige them? Tian is leaving. Okay. I don't know if they're woke, but they obviously don't want me to come to South Africa. So what harm has been done by my trips to South Africa? Came in August 2022. Came in January and February 2023. September 2023. May of 2024. Yeah, that's 4 trips. What harm has been done by my 4 trips? Christo would like to meet me in PE. Well, I have to come to PE because I have no choice. Ronaldo is, look, okay, folks, he's still here, so I don't mean to embarrass him like this, but if you've never met Ronaldo, he's a very difficult person to talk to, and he has almost no friends. And so I feel really bad when I go to South Africa, and so I spend money flying to PE and renting a car. Hey, thank you, Gerardo. One Scott Boston e-beggar chat, 35 rand. Thank you for that. There's an e-beggar chat. Thank you so much. Ronaldo has trouble making friends. It's always been a challenge for him. He's such a shy, shrinking violet. It's difficult for Ronaldo. So if I come to South Africa and I don't go, it sends him into depression. I've made 4 trips to South Africa. I think I've gone to PE 3 of those times. The one time I didn't go, Ronaldo was inconsolent. I think he didn't do any streams for like 6 weeks after I was in South Africa. It really broke his heart. So I have to make a trip to PE. So don't worry about that, Christo. I will make my way back to PE, even though it's not my favorite place, just to see Ronaldo. He's such a lonely fellow. He really needs help. He wants me to. I was one of them. Just don't visit PE. Oh, Ronaldo said don't visit. Okay, all right, I got you. Okay, see, look at that. The more he deflects, the more obvious it is he misses me. I think it's a bromance, actually. We should just be honest about it. We should be honest. Ronaldo he's sweet on me. Actually, Hendo, I do need to get back to Northern Cape. I've been there. Went to Uppington. I need to get back to Uppington again. They're terrified you'll tell the truth about your visit. Exactly. No disrespect, but no one in their right mind would want to go to PE, says bystander. I've read your comment above Ronaldo. I've read it. I've read your comment. You need your money, Colonel Wyatt, but I said yes. Ronaldo has Carter to console him. Yeah, that's true. Yes, He's Carter. John Ward, I don't think he's ever chatted. Maybe he's chatted. There's a super chat coming from John Ward, 140 Rand. Thank you, John, for that. I'm waiting for it to pop up on the screen. So. Do you know what the killer is? I love this. So, Ronaldo, you're still there. Whenever Scott talks about e-beggars, right? People just super chat to piss him off. On your channel, the super chats just come flying in. He's a great fundraiser. We got a little bit of super chats coming here. He's a great fundraiser, man. I love it. It's awesome. So Scott and the super chats. Anyway, I love it. Every time you visit South Africa, channel grows. It does, Vilma, and the most it's grown on a visit was last time. The first time it grew a bit. This last time it grew a lot. But actually, I'm thinking about this, folks. I love coming to South Africa, but it's all work for me. Maybe I should come and do work and a bit of vacation, hang out with some people, do some things. Going to the Loftus, I'm working going to Loftus. I enjoy it. I love it. But I never just sit back, chill, have a beer, enjoy the game, yell, scream. I'm busy working. When I go to the Winelands, I'm busy, recording, filming, meeting with people, doing meet and greets, doing interviews. Same thing in the Highveld. I go all out of my way, go to Zeerust to meet with the Forum for Democrats, to report on what's going on up there. I go out of my way to go to PE. It's maybe I should just take vacation and mix it up. Every time I say that word, I think of what are their name? Oh, geez, I can't think of the name now. Vacation. Oh, no. The Go-Go's. The Go-Go's. Vacation. Anyway, what a great song. Oh, that was so long ago. The Truth Loving Light. Yes, Wyatt, I'm still alive. Now I will unsubscribe again from your channel. I had to place this message because you're boring and fake. Well, thank you, Scott. It's a pleasure to see you. I'm really glad you're alive. I don't know, did you have somebody help typing you? Look, folks, in the video that Scott Balson just put up, he said that his vision is failing, and that's tragic. I'm really sorry to hear. I'm genuinely sorry to hear that, Scott. It's unfortunate. And by the way, since you're here and actually have you for a moment, once again, as I've said before, I want to thank Scott, and this is legitimate. In the early days, several years ago, when almost nobody was reporting on South Africa, Scott Balson was. He was talking particularly about farm attacks, trying to draw attention to it, and he did South Africa a great service by doing that. It's unfortunate that you got into some kind of beef with Ronaldo and then you drug me into it. Also, I'm going to call you out for your downright lies right now while you're here. You invited me on your channel. Ronaldo told me not to go on your channel back in 2020. I went on your channel freely. We had a lovely conversation. You asked me questions. I answered them freely. And then you agreed to come on my channel. You came on my channel. I asked you questions. You answered them freely. You told me about growing up in Tanganyika. You told me that you were the author of the Children of the Mist book. I think it's the name of it. I have that book. I didn't know you were the person who wrote it, about the colored community of South Africa. Great book, by the way. Published author Scott Balson. All that's true. But then you decided to become a spiteful, hateful hate wanker, attacking me for no reason. I have no idea why, lying and slandering me, calling me a CIA agent and an e-beggar and all the other nonsense that you went after. I have no idea why you did that, what that's all about. And so you just undermine all your credibility with those lies. Prove it. Prove it. I love how you did a video. You did a video in which you said, "We have the proof. We have the proof. The so-called colonel." Hey, listen, dickhead. I'm a fucking colonel, not so-called. You see this? This is a military ID card, retired right there. And what does it say on that thing? It says right there, fucking colonel, asshole. Right there, 06 colonel. Right there, colonel. Real. It's a matter of public record. So don't make your bullshit videos lying about people. The so-called colonel's a CIA agent. What evidence do you have that I work for the CIA? None, because I don't work for the CIA. I could use the coin. Yeah, I could sure use the coin. Then I have tons of money. And when you attacked me in August 2022, when I made my trip back to South Africa and called me an e-beggar, listen, dickhead, I spent thousands of dollars out of my pocket. I've already added up something on the order of close to, we've done 4 trips. Each one has cost me at least $5,000 to $8,000. So minimum, I've spent $25,000 of my money traveling to South Africa to cover the news. And I didn't get compensated for that. Now, admittedly, and I said this for the time, there were a number of people on my first trip who offered me super chats in person, which was nice of them, but it didn't even offset what I spent on the trip. And as the trips go on, I get less and less of that. A couple people hand me a little bit of something. Most people don't. So stop your nonsense. Start telling the truth. It's a shame you tarnished your reputation. It really is a shame because, you did some good things early on and then you lost your fucking mind in attacking me. I don't know why. You attacked me. Anyway, so let me catch up on the chat. I don't think you should broadcast an afternoon's wine tasting. Fight, says Ronaldo. Okay. So, 62 votes. Okay. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you, Melissa Hartland. That's a lovely name there. I love the name Melissa, and Hartland is really nice. I don't see Petros. So I do see Scott's comments, but he disappeared. So he wrote one comment there. Is it gone now? Did it disappear? Oh, there it is. Yep. I'm still alive. Well, congratulations being alive, Scott. I mean, I wasn't excited or thrilled to hear that you passed away. I was also shocked to hear it because I had not heard anything of that. I don't know where they got that information from or why they believe it to be true. I didn't believe it, but anyway. So, yeah. But your demise, I won't wish anyone, there are some people I do wish they're gone from the earth, but you're not one of them. So revealing, Scott, get a life. You're pathetic, says Ronaldo. Sweet Charles, cops gave my gun back. No charge, just warned me not to let drunk people in. Okay, Brian, you got it back. Congratulations. Where is the super chat to go with your appearance, says Charles. Yeah, Marilyn, but I mean, about this macular degeneration. Okay. Where is that? I'm going to save that one because that's going to be like an epic moment when he popped up on the channel. Okay, I see it here. When was it? It was there. It was after John Ward's super chat. Okay, where's John Ward's super chat? Okay, I went too far up. John Ward's super chat. There's John Ward's super chat. There it is. I got to save that because that's like epic. Anyway, so again, back to, I didn't finish that story. So I don't know why, and I really don't know why he did this, but Scott Balson, I guess to get attention, I don't know, started attacking me and then claiming in a video that he made when he claimed I was a CIA agent that I lied. 2 things about that. That he said, well, when he appeared on my program, he was evasive and didn't answer questions. Scott, that's a load of horse shit. I answered all your questions. I didn't evade. There was nothing. Show me the video. It's funny how you don't have the video to show that because it didn't occur. I answered your questions and I had no beef. You came on my channel. I came in your channel. Other order, I came on your channel, then you came on my channel. The only beef I had was that I asked you and your assistant, Marlene, or whatever her name is, for an image, a current image that I could use, because there aren't many images of you out there in public, and I want to use an image with your permission, and you never got it to me. But I attributed the fact that you're probably busy working really hard at the time. This is almost 5 years ago now. So I don't have a beef with that. But anyway, so that was the only dispute I had was that. But then you lie about me and make all these claims that I didn't answer your questions. That's horse manure. I answered your questions. Total horse manure. I answered all your questions. And we had no beef, but you drugged me into this nonsense when I traveled to South Africa, and I have no idea why. Ronaldo tried over and over again to get me to say bad things about Scott Balson before I went to South Africa in 2022. I never did. I never said anything bad. In fact, I encourage people to go to Scott's Loving Life channel, and that's a matter of record. My viewers here know that. Those who've been with the program a long time, I said, go. He's got interesting content. He gets people that a lot of people don't get. So go check it out. And I even gave him the address in my chat many times. And then in August 2022, I went to South Africa, and then Scott Balson attacked me out of nowhere. And then Ronaldo, who'd been trying to get me to say bad things about him on our program, when I called in from Mossel Bay on Wednesdays with the Colonel when we had a meet and greet, Ronaldo got me to call in. It got exactly what he wanted. I went off in a profanity-laced rant because of this attack, calling me an e-beggar and all this other bullshit and saying people paid for my trip. Well, Scott Balson, how about you start being honest about who paid for your website? Rudy paid for your website, $700 a month out of his pocket, according to Rudy. According to Rudy. Until you deleted Fiona's videos because she visited Ronaldo's website? What the hell is that all about? The woman's in a wheelchair, and that's how you treated her? What are you, some kind of malicious fuckwad? She's a lovely lady. I met her. And then you really got pissed at me last year when I went to the UK. My viewers asked me to interview Fiona. I interviewed her, and you got pissed off. Yes, we did mention you for just a moment, but not you. Mention your channel in the broadcast. Lovely lady. We met at a Costa coffee shop in the Midlands. I drove all the way there, burned petrol, burned time, burned another night in a hotel to spend time to talk to Fiona. Lovely lady. You took her videos down. Rudy took his server offline. It was his server. He paid for it. And then you made a big conspiracy. You did this to yourself, buddy. Nobody else did it to you. You did it to yourself. All right, where am I at here now in the chat? Steve Hoffmeyer's going in tour again. Yeah, he does. Scott did a lot of good in the beginning. Yes, I know he did. I said that. And people, I'm getting messages over here. What's going on? Huh. No, that's not what it was. Maybe it's a text message. Oh, I'm getting trip messages over here. All right. Okay. So Lauren says, on your trip to South Africa, what was nice that you like about our country? Oh, well, Lawrence. Okay. So I guess you don't know much about me. I've been to South Africa probably 500 plus times. I used to live in Botswana. I'd go almost every weekend to Gauteng or to Northwest. A lot of time in Rustenburg, but a lot of time in Pretoria and some in Joburg and then the Mahalisburg and all that stuff at that time. But I've been there many, many times prior to that, many, many times since then. But you're talking about the 4 trips I've taken since the COVID scam was eased in 2022. What I like most about South Africa, the people and the natural beauty of the country. It's absolutely amazing. Whether it's the Karoo, it's the Cape Winelands, it's the Garden Route, it's KZN, the Drakensberg, the Highveld. It's all fascinating. And the people, Xhosa, Basotho, Tswana, Afrikaner, Boer, Portuguese, German, Xhosa, Venda. The list is amazing. People are amazing. It's a fantastic place. And I like the fact that it has first world amenities. So I can see Africa and travel Africa, but be in the first world. Of course, it's limited. It's not everywhere, but you get my point. Lawrence, I've always been fascinated by the people of South Africa. The languages, the culture, the faith, the history. That's what I find fascinating. All right, what else? I get where you came from. We live in South Africa. It's sad in the reality where we live. I hope you win this battle, even if you don't concede the war. Oh, Ronaldo. Okay. Whoops, this. He commented and ran like a cow. I don't know. He might still be here. Boy, I'll tell you, he had to wait a very long time for me to talk about him. I had to talk about it over 2 hours into the broadcast. That's a long wait, man. That's a long wait. Ooh, Smee again. I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to say that one. He removed the comment? Well, I got it. Oh, he did remove it. Oh, I got to get a screen capture of that. He's still here. Oh, Scott, come on, man. You know, this is just sad, Scott. I mean, you did so many wonderful things, you know, and now you're going to act this way. Oh, my goodness. I saved both of those videos, his message and his retraction. So thank you for that, Ronaldo. I didn't see that. Month to date, 1 Rand, now 1.5 million. What's this Bitcoin? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about there, bystander. Keith says, Scott Balson, I definitely generally miss your streams. Would like to hear what you've been uncovering recently. We are sinking fast in UK, so angles you're covering. See, there you go. Keith will listen to Scott. There you go. Fiona has got lots of health issues. Not cool. Until he started barking up the wrong tree, says Smee. Yep. Robert says, even I used to watch Loving It. Scott was kind of okay. Then he went off the rails. Yep. After winter's coming in the U.S., it's summer, December party time. No. It's wintertime here, Brendan. It's Northern Hemisphere. It's wintertime. I should visit Sutherland in the Cape for the night sky. Okay, Lawrence, that's a good idea. Okay. A lot of us watch Scott's videos, but he burned his own bridges. Yep. Yeah, no, a lot of people here did. A lot of people on Ronaldo's channel used to watch Scott. I watched it back in the day. I watched his content. But he was just rude and disrespectful. I mean, I didn't say or do anything bad about him, and he attacked me unsolicited. And I even when I went off on that profanity-laced tirade in 2022 from Mossel Bay at the hotel, on my mobile phone, Ronaldo was loving it. I know he's chuckling in the background. He was loving that because that's what he wanted. He wanted to hear that. Even when I did that, I said afterwards, I said, listen, that's it. Just, you don't even have to apologize. That's just it. Done. Don't even have to, just don't discuss me anymore. Oh, Charmaine says she has it. Okay. She has the video. Okay. A lot of us watch Scott's videos. Yep. But he just keeps coming back with the e-beggar thing. The dude had a server for Loving Life TV and Rudy Geldenhuis paid for it. He paid for it. $700 a month because he wanted alternative news. Scott didn't pay for it. Rudy did. And then he accused Rudy of betraying him by taking it down when he betrayed Fiona. That's the facts. That's the facts. That's the facts. It's revealing. Okay. All right. I don't think you should broadcast an afternoon's wine tasting. I'm way behind over here. Oh, it's because I went looking for that chat. Prepare for another 50-minute video from after this. He wanted another reason to make a video, and now he got it. Well, he can make the video. But I said very kind things about him here. Also exposed his fraud. So he got what he wanted. That'll give him something to talk about. So back to the whole thing with the what was it? The so-called colonel. He accused me of being a colonel. Oh, I know what it was. When he said, "We have the proof. He's a CIA agent." You know what he did? He took a screen capture, and I'll go find it. So, Energy in Africa Conference. Let's see if I can find it. Energy. Let's see if I can find that. Wyatt. Energy in Africa Conference. Okay. Here it is. Energy in Africa Conference. Okay, ready for this? Is what he pulled up to prove I was a CIA agent. Okay. So this is the Energy in Africa Conference. When I spoke there, what's this, 2018, I think it was? It's a long time ago. So that says 2024, but that's updated. So here you have Colonel Wyatt studies, and somewhere it says security cooperation in here in this thing. Here it is down here. Security cooperation, all right? Write that. He goes, Office of Security Cooperation. He puts that on the screen. He grayed out the URL up here at the top. So he took the blue, see the blue, and then at the top, up here, he grayed that out. He hid that he took a screen capture of that, and I'll give you the link to it. You can go check this out. See, unlike him, I will give you facts here. So this is on a website, and because I was a public speaker there. Paste, there's the link to it. You can go check it out. That's a biography that I gave them, so it could be bullshit. It's not. So that's what he used to prove that I was the CIA agent. Security cooperation. No, that's not CIA. Yeah. So now this is going to go on for another hour, says Lawrence. No, it's not. We'll wrap it up. Can make as many videos as he wants and won't be watching him, says Marilyn. Yeah, he needed Ronaldo to become relevant again. That's correct. Okay. Make as many videos. Anyway, let's get off that topic. Enough of that. So 77 votes, and we got so 9% don't want me to go to South Africa. So that's 7 people. Well, for those 7 people who don't want me to go to South Africa, you win. I'm never coming to South Africa again. Never, ever. Not going to do it anymore. Just not coming back. No, I'm going to do it. No. I've seen the penguins and their feces and their smelly little huts. I've seen the chaos and carnage of the taxi strike and people being murdered in the streets of the Cape Flats. I've been to the lovely Cape Flats, traveling all around Kailicha. I've been to Hillbrow. I don't think I need to ever go to South Africa again. Flashing. No, I have seen the potholes, and I've repaired them. I've repaired the potholes. Okay, I know where that's going to be. That's on my new drive, my external drive I plugged in. That's going to be June of 20... Was it this year I did it? Or was it March of last year? I can't remember now. I'm drawing a blank. Wow, it's been so many times I've come to South Africa. I'm so confused. Oh, look, South Africa is really cool. It's like a small town place, right? I mean, this is really cool. So this was June last year. Check this out. Oh, that's fuzzy. I got to get a better picture. Someone took a fuzzy picture there. Is this a clear one? Let me see. Yeah, here's a clear one. Anybody know who this guy is? Anybody know? Tell me if you know who that guy is. I interviewed him. He's a former Springbok. Anybody know who that is? That was at Joburg. When I flew back to Joburg, I'm going down the escalator and I run into this guy. Anybody know who that is? Anybody identify that guy? That was in June of last year. or this year, excuse me. Anybody know who that was? Okay. So I'm out. Have a lovely evening. Everyone except Scott, says Ronaldo. Should go see the fan. Oh, Ronaldo leaves when I quit talking about Scott. That's the only reason he was here. Erica says, because 7 people said no, now you're not coming to South Africa. Of course not, Erica. I'm having a little fun. Yeah, Chris in action. There you go. Or Chris in Africa. Nobody knows who that is. Just don't enter into a free contract like AfriForum did for mowing the lawns. Chris Marie knows who it is. Chris Marie knows who it is. It's Bram van Straten. That's right. Well done. Video proof of Chris in Guantanamo interrogation room. Definitely. Really? Actually, I tried to go to Guantanamo Bay, but there was nothing for me there. Yeah. No, it's Bram van Straten. David Dustbin Man. No, come on, man. It's Bram van Straten. They're still using bin bags and tin foil. Bram van Straten. That's the guy who it is. Yeah, that was really cool. It's amazing. I just travel around. I just bump into people all the time. This last trip, I think 45 times people came up to me and greeted me. Most of them I don't know. But occasionally I run into people I do know. It's pretty wild. The 2024 vintage wine at the wine farms. Well, Monterey, maybe I'll make a trip back to South Africa and just stay in the Western Cape. How's that? I'll just stay in the Western Cape. Yeah, I'll go to Ceres. I'll go to Wellington, Paarl, Franschhoek. Franschhoek sucks, though, because no one's ever there with me. Once I've had one person with me, and that was George. George was with me one time. We went to the Starbucks in Franschhoek because we were over that. We went to Babylon Storm, which was pretty cool. I was going to say some Free State. Charles, I've been to the Free State. Yeah, so Constanti document. I wish you did too. It's really a shame. I don't know what we have to do to change the rhythm on that. I changed it, but we're not even 1,000 views, and I don't think. Let me look and see. See, Goed Constantia. That was a great video, so I love that. So, and a great job by our filmmaker. He did a great job there. Goed Constantia. There it is. 953 views from 2 years ago. Still not at 1,000 views. What a heartbreak that is. I mean, not for me, but for him. It's a really good video. I'm getting ads on it, though. That's cool. YouTube puts ads on everything, man. I wonder if we actually get paid for these damn ads. It's a question, though. So, 13 seconds. Come on, 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds. I'm going to... There we go.
On the Cape Peninsula. But those vineyards doesn't exist anymore. So Groot Constantia was, I would say, the most significant one, and also the only surviving one of these older ones.
So it's just recently celebrated its 330th anniversary.
That's correct. During its existence, it built up quite a significant list of clients, of which Louis Philippe, a French king, was one. That's just proof of the special quality that this farm was able to produce 300 years ago.
I think Napoleon also got wine from here.
Yes, the Clute family supplied him. Joseph Lusson was appointed by the English East Indian Company to source products for St. Helena. And Joseph Lusson, their agent, was married to a Clute daughter. And obviously, he purchased wine from Groot Constantia to supply Napoleon while he was on exile in St. Helena.
Obviously, the climate here is Mediterranean, like you find in Southern Europe.
That's correct.
And so that's probably the reason why it was a good idea. Plus, when the Cape Town was originally established by Jan van Riebeck, it was supposed to be a refitting, resupply station to help sailors prevent getting scurvy and that sort of thing. So grapes seem to be, in this climate, a natural sort of crop.
Yes, it contains a lot of vitamin C, so it was just a natural thing to do.
Pretty cool, huh? Yep. I like how it starts. Let's see if we can get it to start properly. We're at the oldest wine vineyard in South Africa, established back in 1685, and that's Groot Constantia. I hope I got that correct. Is that pretty good?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Okay. Pet 2 film crew, how's it going? Excellent.
So cheers. Cheers.
Oh, that is sweet.
That's baie lekker.
But that is baie lekker.
Just smell it. You that musk flavor, it's amazing.
Yeah, the aroma is amazing. Well, this is the chief executive officer of Groot Constantia. This is, in fact, the oldest vineyard in South Africa, yes?
Yeah, it's the oldest surviving vineyard in South Africa.
That was great. Juan did a great job for that. Really, that video should have Thousands of views, hundreds of thousands. Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know how we cracked the code on that one, but yeah, and I don't know if we get credit if you go back and watch it a second time, but you know, if you can, go check it out. It's a really good video. Juan did a great job on that thing. Really good stuff. It was in Blauberg on Saturday. Went to the Kapstadt. Yeah, Erica told me she went to Kapstadt Brauhaus. Very envious. I've gone to Kapstadt Brauhaus in Blauberg Strand, and I've also gone in Strand down on the other end. Paul is here. Hey, Paul, how's it going, man? How you doing? Charmaine's out of here. What's this? Love Franschhoek. Was there a little while ago with two of my grandkids. Yeah, Franschhoek's lovely. Lovely. All right, cool beans. All right, people are leaving. And so 160 likes, a little bit of super chat revenue, 5 new members. And we had a guest appearance tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Balson appeared on the program, at least in the chat. Welcome, Scott. I'm glad to see you're alive. It's good to hear. I'm still sorry to hear about your eyesight. That's terrible. I have recently had to start wearing reading glasses as a consequence of the 2 retina tears that I had in this eye while in the Army. And so it's messed with my vision up close. And so I'm not equating wearing reading glasses with Scott's macular degeneration. I'm not even doing that. But I'm just saying that I appreciate, I've always cherished my eyesight, reading license plates hundreds of meters away, like a freaking eagle, spotting things, great night vision. To have my reading being disrupted by wearing glasses now it's almost all the time. It was periodically, now it's almost all the time. It's very frustrating. When you were in South Africa, oh yeah, Lawrence, I've always eaten South African biltong. Gone to great lengths to get biltong. Even took biltong with me from South Africa to the 2011 Rugby World Cup in New Zealand. the immigration guys were all worried about my boots, my new boots, because I had a pair of hiking boots that I wore for there, and I never worn them. So I kept them in the case because I know they like to inspect things. I kept them in my suitcase. Like, do you have any shoe wear in your bag? Yes, I do. And so they opened up, tore all my clothes out, threw them all over the place, and pulled them out of the shoebox. They were in brand new. They're like looking at them. I'm like, dude, smell them. They're brand new. They've never been worn. And then they put it back in. In the meantime, I had my carry-on satchel. I had a couple kgs of biltong with me, which apparently you're not allowed to take in New Zealand. So I got into New Zealand for the World Cup with biltong, and I enjoyed it throughout the 2011 World Cup as I traveled around for 2 weeks in New Zealand. It was pretty cool. I hated druivos. But I got turned on to druivos while I was in South Africa on my 2022 trip, and now I love druivos, and that's awesome. So I eat that as well. Yep. Kapstadt Brauhaus owner left because of exploitation, security money. Oh, man. So what? There's the mobs, the gangs are shaking down for protection money. Dylan did see me in Blauberg. Dylan also saw me at Woodbridge Island. Every one of my meet and greets Dylan has come to. And I know it's a sacrifice for him to make it over there. And I really appreciate Dylan coming to my meet and greets. Val has also come to meet and greets. If I'm correct, the USA is jerky. It's a very different. It's not biltong. Beef jerky is very different. It's not the same. And quite frankly, honestly, historically, I preferred biltong from Botswana than I have from South Africa. Just a statement of fact. But I really do enjoy druivos now. Yep. But I don't eat bunny chow. Sorry. I will eat a good curry, though. Okay, which old vineyard building burnt down? I don't know, Colonel. Is it the one burned down? I didn't see that. Anyway, it sounds like, Lawrence, you've just found my channel. Welcome to the program. There's a bunch of videos on here. What am my current count on this channel? I don't know off the top of my head. On the old channel, I had 1,900 videos. I deleted most of them when it came back because YouTube started attacking the videos when they restored my channel. It took down 6 for copyright strikes, but didn't give me a strike in the first couple days. So this one I have 2,200 videos according to YouTube. On the other channel, I have, it says about 700, I think it is, but the rest are there. I've just hidden them. So anyway, all these shootings are related to the shakedowns in Cape Town. Probably, Charles. Yep. German closed the Long Street Brauhaus shakedown. The one we went to, Garrett? Oh, man. That's horrible. Yes, Paul, we had an incredible election. Things went very well. Trump destroyed her and the Democrats. Ulrich Pike says, lots of friends visit, go once in a while. Okay. Damn, Garrett, that sucks. Well, I got photos of us in there. In fact, let me find a picture of that. Garrett, when did we go there? Was it the last trip? I think it was the last trip. So that would have been in September, right? Hang on. I think I just found it. No, that's not it. That's Loftus. That's Loftus. Okay, this is after the semifinal where we beat Leinster at Loftus in the Mexican restaurant right next to it with MV and a guy who writes for South African Rugby magazine. We're doing shots. Oh, Strand. Yeah, we were in Strand. Okay, well, yeah. Well, I thought that's what you said. The Strand one closed. I'm trying to find. So it was after that when we were down in. When we do this thing at. Hang on a second. Got to find this bad boy. I got a great shot of me with that picture. Oh, does anybody know who this is? Hey, does anybody know who this is? Check this out. This is at Loftus. That face look familiar? Not me, the other guy. Anybody? Is Chris Marie still here? You're very welcome, PK. Anybody know who that one is? That's a rather famous rugby player. All right, where the hell is this thing at? I'm trying to find out. So I got to get past Loftus down here. June. Not seeing it. I thought I did this in June. Maybe it was the previous trip. I thought it was this trip. Well, I'm not finding those pictures. I did found them before. Maybe I got my dates wrong. When did we go to Strand? Was it this year or was it last year? Maybe it was before this. Could be before this. I got ahead of myself. No. Anyway, I'm not finding it. Well, it's not important right now. We'll save it for another day. Save it for another day. Anyway. Okay. Nobody got it? No, that's not Kobani Bobo. That's Stedman Huntz. Stedman Huntz. Yep, that's who that was. All right, that's who that was. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. So, Scott Balson unsubscribed from my channel today. Oh, I'm just crushed. I'm so heartbroken. Anyway, how about foot? No, that's not my cup of tea either. I don't eat pop. I don't eat that. I don't eat Cook Sisters. No, not my cup of tea. I'm very selective at my meals. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks a lot. God bless and have a good day. Wow, we've gone for almost 3 hours. That was not what I expected. You have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for those who came over from Ronaldo. Those who left to go to Ronaldo and came back, thank you for coming back. Y'all take care and be safe out there. Yep, there's Chris Marie, Stedman Huntz. That's who it is. Yeah, that was at Loftus. So, yeah. So he felt the need to tell me who he was. I'm like, Stedman, I know who you are. He goes, yeah, I'm Stedman Huntz. I said, yes, I know. I love you with the Blitzbach. Anyway, no crab today, man. Oh, it's enough. I'm broke. I'm broke. Cheers, everybody. Take care. I'm still here. I wonder why Chris is still here. What's going on?